All right, we're back to episode triple one, episode 111. And in episode, it's gonna be pretty controversial today. Um, it's gonna hurt some feelings, possibly, maybe, could be, maybe not. Um, may enlighten you, may wake you up, may make you depressed, but however it is, it's gonna make you feel something. Whatever that is, it's on you. Um, Welcome back to Tech Stocks and Jobs. I want to give a shout out to John. Glad you're recuperating. Hope you are getting back to what your normal is. Shout out to D. Shout out to Octavius Williams. I feel like I should call you Sir Octavius Williams. I feel like I should be calling you one of the Bridgertons from the House of Octavius Williams. That's what I feel like. I feel like I should call you Sir Octavius Williams. I don't know. I feel like you're in Bridgerton or something like that. Or maybe you might be related to some royalty somewhere down the line. You should change your picture and put a sword on your like across your chest or something like that. I feel like that's what it should be. That's just me. What's going on, Reach L? How you doing? And shout out to those that are joining us. Farida, I see you. Michelle, what's going on? All right, so controversy. It won't happen right now. Well, nah, I'll wait. I'll be nice. Yeah, Sir Octavius of Williamsburg. Being number 6. Yes, you missed Wednesday night memes working in Hawaii. All right. You should if you're in Hawaii, man, you should hit up. We got some folks out there in Hawaii, some jobs out there in Hawaii. If you're looking for work, I know you're working, but you may be ending a contract or something like that. We got some folks out there. Um, yeah, you missed Ben. I'm telling you, you missed it. Hit me up in Slack. Hit me up in Slack. We can update you on that. At least what's going on. Ben, you wanna hit me up in Slack so you don't miss out. I would hate for you to miss out. Just being honest. So the first half of the show, we're gonna cover some things and we're gonna lead into AI, automation, trades, and how that's gonna affect the black community, where the black community has been, where the black community was at, and where we're going or where we're not going. Um, what I see, what I've told you about before, part of some reiteration or some repetition of those topics. But overall, it is to jolt you into movement forward, not backwards. Um, I see a lot of people are trying to figure out direction, but I want to show you. I think you have to visually see some things sometimes in order to realize where to go. What does this week have been like for me? Got a chance to hang out uh, and saw the Little Mermaid yesterday. Um, I still say that was her brother. Crystal, don't shoot me, but that's what I say. But yeah, it is what it is. It was good. In terms of my week was actually kind of busy, right? Um, Let me tell you something about opportunities and your skill sets, your network and your skill sets, um, and your personality are probably going to be the 3 most important things that propel you in tech and propel you throughout life. And the reason why I say that is because just on a random humbug, one of my homeboys called me from Australia and was like, "Yo, you ready to come out here? We need you." right? And I was like, why not? Then I got another call from another old coworker of mine, and they need some help too. So your personality, your reputation, your brand is who you are in tech, and that should always shine. And you should always be working on crafting that, right? You should also be working on your network. I also posted an events conference that will be going down here in Atlanta at the Congress Center that I will be speaking at here in Atlanta. So that's I think that's in September or August, the Blackest Tech Conference, and that is posted. If you did not see it, I am on there to speak. Um, I'll probably do maybe a panel and my own personal session. I have not decided on the personal session yet. I'll let you know on that. There's also another conference I've been invited to speak at. I haven't made a decision on that. I'll let you know on that one. But this is where we're at, right? So we're gonna get started. I thought about covering Mary J. Blige, but I need to. I want to do a whole show about Mary J. Blige, and I want to do a whole show about Mary J. Blige about her getting married and not having a prenup. I want to add up the total cost of everything. The $100 million that she over $100 million that she owed in taxes. Her sister was her manager, was managing her stuff first, and then she got married and she turned everything over to her husband without a prenup. Um, or I should say her ex-husband. What does that look like? Why? I was gonna do a whole show on her last night for Foolish Finance Fridays. I have to do that next week. Um, to talk about. No, she's not the only one, right? She's not the only person. I'm gonna say it that way. That leads with love. That leads with trust. That leads with I want to know. Like I love him. I love her, and I'm gonna put it all out there. Whatever I got, she got it. What ends up happening is two people drift apart for whatever reasons, whatever those reasons are, and then it's time to hit divorce. And it's time to go to court, and that new person comes out. The person that you didn't know was in that you didn't know that was in the guts, that was in the ruts of who they are, and that person comes out, and you're like, whoa, what had happened? Who is this person? Well, that person is like, oh, I always been here. You just didn't know how petty I could be. And that person comes out. And you didn't know how petty you were. You had an idea that you could be petty, but you didn't know how petty you could be because the person took you there. You like, oh, you that kind of petty. I must now seek a higher level of pettiness. Sir, Sir, Sir Octavius Williams must come out of Williamsburg, right? So it's one of those things, right? That happens, and I want to do an entire show on that from both the male perspective and the female perspective. I don't know why y'all keep running around here and not putting your stuff in an estate. I don't know why you don't do estate planning. I don't know why you ain't getting renups. I don't know. I'm just asking. It don't make sense to me. It don't make sense to me. But at least you said, ain't that how Jill Scott got like that? When you say Jill Scott got like that, you mean petty or not a prenup. I don't know. I don't know about that. I know what's her name? MC Light. She had went to court with through her divorce. Um she she stated that no one come after her her catalog, but yeah, right. That's what she said. I don't believe it. I believe that was the save face. Yep. What's love got to do with love ain't got to do with you paying these bills. No, no one cares about how much you love somebody when it's time to pay a bill. Yeah, she had to pay her ex-husband $30,000 a month. Plus, she had to take care of his daughter as well too. Yeah, Jerome, they, I blame each individual in those cases. Go put your stuff in an estate. Like, stop being silly, right? Like she said, he cheated. He had everything, was doing everything. Then you turn around and ask me, I got to pay him alimony. Yeah, and he was the manager. You put it in you put him in management of your funds, so he knew how much money you was getting, where you was getting money from, and when you got it. And and she was taking care of his daughter. All right. Yep. I agree, D. All right, so let's get into it because we got a lot to talk about today. First up, let's talk about stock splits. Let me go back a page here. Upcoming stock splits. Let's see. This says 620 payable on 623. And let me blow this up. Blow that down a little bit. Okay. So we got some stock splits here, one to 20. And let me back up here. Whenever y'all want to know about dividends, stocks, what's going on, this, that, and other, of course, look at your brokerage accounts because you can get prospectus on the different stocks. You can look at Yahoo Finance, you can look at Google Finance, and so forth. But you can always come here and look on NASDAQ.com and look at market insights, blockchain, commodities, IPOs, retirement, so forth and so on, right? But there's one other site that I want you all to be aware of. It's FINRA, right? FINRA.org. Why am I telling you about this? I'm telling you about this so you can one understand different careers. They got careers here in finance and in technology too. And also you get a chance to understand like what are the actual jobs that people have and what they're supposed to do in those jobs. So what's a financial advisor versus a financial planner? What does a insurance broker actually do versus an insurance agent? Like those different things that you can find out here. You can also find it on Investopedia. But let's go to events, conferences, events, and so forth, right? Um, Senior Safe at webinar, um, small firm conference, small firm conference out in Santa Monica. And then they have that annual conference. They just had it May 14th through the 16th, FINRA's conference. And then they got some on demand sessions and so forth. Then they got webinars that you can attend if you want to look at some webinars as well. Let me look through here, see if something that you may want to attend. Let's see. Well, this happened June 15th. Senior Safe at webinar. What is the Senior Safe at? I don't know myself. What is the Senior Safe at? Let's look that up. And let me blow this up. All right. The Senior Safe Act protects covered financial institutions, which include investment advisors, broker dealers, and transfer agents, and their eligible employees from liability in any civil or administrative proceeding in instances where those employees may make a report about a potential exploitation of a senior citizen. And it says the immunity established by the Senior Safe Act is provided on the condition that one, certain employees discussed below receive training on how to identify and report exploitive activity against seniors before making a report, and reports of suspected exploitation are made in good faith with reasonable care. So they had a conference about it. They had a conference about it. So, just little things you didn't know that you find out. Investor.gov is another good one as well too, for as far as like a resource to look up stuff. All right, so back over here, um, I'm looking at stock splits. Why? Because I want to know what is it? It's going from 1 to 30, a 1 to 30 split here. They're going back from 5 to 1. Here they're going to 1 to 10 on this one for pro shares. And then for Bloomberg Natural Gas, they're going from 1 to 20. Now, why am I mentioning stock splits? Apple, Amazon, um, Amazon, Tesla, all had stock splits last year, right? And for a long time, Amazon under Bezos, they didn't split. When they switched over CEOs, they did their stock split. I think Amazon was trading at a long time at $3,500 a share. I think the last time I looked at it was at 126 a share, right? So say you had one share of Amazon and it split into five, that means your one share go to 5 shares, right? So a lot of people try to get as many shares in, single shares in before the split, right? And then some people wait because at that time when you're trying to get in before the split, the cost of it goes up. And so some people just wait till after the split and then get in and just keep buying until it splits again. Now let's look this up. How many stock splits has Apple had? The stock has split 5 times. Apple has split 5 times since the company went public. The stock split from 4 to 1 basis on 28 August the 28th of 2020, or 7 to 1 on June 2014, or 2 to 1. So I got in on the last stock split for Apple. And it's funny. I don't think I got the article pulled up, but um, where does Warren Buffett have? It was the article. I think it was 65% of his stocks. It was the article right here. Motley Food. Let me see if it's a one earlier one over that. Let me go by tools, and then let's go by the past month. See if they got it in here. That might have been the article I was reading, but nevertheless, I'll go back to it. All right, let's go here. All right, and it's from 2022. I wanted 2023. All right, so 40% or 39% is what he has Apple for his stocks. And so if we go over here to Google, I like Google Finance over Yahoo. And we go over here and look up Apple. It's trading at 180. The 5 days, you see, there was a big burst because Apple made their announcement this week with the goggles, right? You saw the headset that they came out with, and then we got a quick rundown, but there was a run up of it here at 184 when that announcement happened, right? But it's been steady here at 180. But like I said, I showed you this last week. If you want to know how much in totality, how much Apple has returned, it has returned a max of 69,500%. Meaning you can't go wrong with that with Apple. You can't go wrong with buying $5 worth of Apple. Just and let it marinate. Just keep going. Just keep buying the $5. You be all right. Right? So let's get back over here to Warren Buffett real quick. So 39% for Apple. I think he only has like 5 shares. Well, 5 shares that are make up 65%. Bank of America, Chevron, American Express, and I think the other one's Occidental or something like that. Where he's got a ton of shares. I think it's Occidental. You type Warren Buffett. Yeah, May 16th, right here. Occidental Petroleum. He bought $127 million worth of it. There's a video. This video right here is a 7-hour video. I need to finish it. Their annual press conference. I need to finish that video because it's in that video. He talks about a lot of things. I am in Berkshire B. I'm not in Berkshire A. I am in B. So if you come here and type B, see Berkshire BK. Let me do it this way. Go here. I think it's BKR. I forget. Berkshire B. Yeah, I'm in this one, and I've had it for a year, and I only got 1 share. I only bought 1 share, and I'm in it for a year, and it's returned me 60%. I just want to see what it was going to do. There's also a Berkshire Class A stock. Now, Berkshire Class A is $510,000. It used to be $100,000. 1 share is $510,000. So if you got $500,000, you can go buy you 1 share. It's BRK-A. So let's go here. BRK-A. Let's see what its return, its maximum return. Is returned 52,000%. So if you had a 1 share of this one, and it looks like it got started right here in the 90s sometime. This one it was $32,000 for a share. In 2010, it was $88,000. I remember because I was like, it was $100,000 for a share. I remember looking at it, but that was back around 2012 sometime. I was looking at, yeah, when we started getting into $100,000 a share. Yeah. So now in 2020, was this 2018? Let's go. Yeah, 2018. It was $300,000 for 1 share, and now it is $510,000 for 1 share. And its maximum return on it is $52,000. So you don't think that people who have high net worth, those that are in family offices, you don't think they're invested in Berkshire Hathaway? Probably more than likely they are at some point. Even if they just got 1 share or 2 shares or something of that nature. Right? All right. So that's what I wanted to show you there with Warren Buffett. Again, in your stock portfolio, Most people, if you look at them, they'll tell you you don't need to have four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 of them. You can have about three or four or five that are dividend increase in dividend producing. I talked about it last week, aristocrats and kings. If you're not familiar, go look on Investopedia for that, or just any source if you feel like it. Any source will work. But I talked about it last week, right? All right. Next up, blow this up. General Motors is to invest more than $1 billion into these two Flint facilities to make internal combustion engine heavy duty trucks. 1 billion. We saw the article come out this week that General Motors isn't going to build their own electric charging stations. They're just going to partner with Tesla and go from there. Like we don't have enough money and enough time to invest. So we're just gonna make this partnership. Y'all gonna get you some money. We gonna get us some money, and we gonna keep it moving, right? So GM to invest more than $1 billion in these two Flint facilities to make internal combustion engine heavy duty trucks. Let me blow this up for you all, so it's a little blurry on the screen there. General Motors announced Monday its plan to invest more than $1 billion to prepare two of Flint, Michigan plants for production of the next generation internal combustion engine heavy duty trucks. The two manufacturing sites are Flint Assembly and the Flint Metal Center. The automaker will invest 788 million in Flint Assembly plant to assemble the ICE trucks, and 233 million in the Flint Metal Center for the new stamping dies to support the production. Right. Um, and I put that out there because it's also gives you an idea of where General Motors is headed, right? Again, we're talking about there was a big push from the Biden administration for General Motors and Ford to make manufacturing chips as well too. Um, let's look that up. GM making chips here. You know they got some of that money coming out of the Biden administration. It's $10 billion. Back out. Right. General Motors is moving toward to making its own microchips for 2025. Don't think that those two plants that they're working and putting in $1 billion in are not going to be accommodating for the chip manufacturers because they want to make their own chips for their own cars. So again, back to the manufacturing of chips, where that initiative is at. A big boom is going into Detroit on that. But we all know that China brought up most of Detroit years ago. If you didn't know, now you know. All right. So in case you've been under a rock, like this article says, in case you have been under a rock, last year or so, the auto industry news has been dominated by ongoing global microchip shortage, which has affected production and product availability for every major automaker. Now, however, General Motors says it will have its own family of microchips locked in by 2025, a move that is expected to offset the future chip related production delays. So, again, you don't want to know where jobs are at. They're already putting $1 billion into the combustion. They're already partnered with Tesla for EV charging stations, and they also have manufacturing of chips. And I keep telling you the $10 billion that are going into the different cities, the rural cities, to make new tech hubs. Atlanta is a tech hub, but so will Augusta be a tech hub as well too. So when you're looking at these things and you're trying to figure out, and we're going to talk about it today, the future of work and the future of where everything is going to be, the automation is already here. Well, how does it affect you as a Black person? What skills do you need, and where should you be at to get those skills, and who should you be bringing along with you? All right. Real estate is going to be affected as well too. We also have to understand the food shortage. Where who's gonna farm the lands? Who is also going to be creating the food and the food sources? There's a reason why Bill Gates was buying up all the land and creating. There's a reason why you see more data centers being popped up all over the place. Data centers in Virginia, data centers across the United States, new data centers going in. I talked about the 44 billion that um, Amazon and Microsoft have going into building out more data centers. You want to know where the work is at and where the skills is at? Stay tuned here, Women in Lenses. I bring it to you every week. All right, all right. So let's get back to it. All right. So let's see. Was this the chip? Yeah, that's the chip. That's Warren Buffett. Right. I need to I don't think you all can hear on this one. I may need to switch screens. I may need to switch browsers. I'm gonna play it, but I don't think you all can hear. I don't think you can hear. That's a no go on the here. No on the here. Okay, yeah. No. So I pulled this up for a reason. Um, I pulled this up for a reason, and I'm gonna pause this here because if you want to know where people are investing and what they're seeing, look at where the high net worth individuals and family offices are housing their money at, right? And right now, a lot of people are being very liquid. And in this video, they're going to talk about this. So let me pull this all the way up, sound wise, and then let's get going.
King right now, at least for some wealthy investors, that is. Robert Frank joins us here at Post 9, covering those family offices, which have become a more and more important part of the overall financial ecosystem.
They have, and also ultra high net worth investors. If you look at wealthy investors right now, they are still very much in wealth preservation mode as opposed to growth mode. The world's ultra high net worth investors, that's those with $1 million or more in investable assets. They now have 34% of their portfolios in cash. That is up from 24% a year ago. Marks the
All right, 34% of their money in cash. High net worth individuals, $1 million or more, where they're putting their money at. You know why they're holding out in cash? Because they know it's a bottom about to happen. They know that the market is going to tank at some point, and they're going to be ready to buy. They know foreclosures are coming. They know people are going to renege on some loans, and they're ready to buy. What position are you going to be in? Are you going to have skills enough where you can make enough money where you can buy that house that's $50,000? Is your credit going to be good enough where you be in position to make that purchase, to use that credit? Are you strictly 1099? Are you W-2? How are you positioning yourselves? Those are questions that you're going to have to actively ask yourself. Positioning yourself to be ready to buy and do what you need to do. And what skill sets do you have to position yourself in order to make that happen? And are you actively executing your plan in order to make that happen? Right? Let's get back to the video.
a record high going back at least 20 years. That's according to a new study from Capgemini. Their holdings in stocks at their lowest in 21 years, with stocks accounting for just 23% of their portfolios. Look at alternatives, that's private equity, hedge funds, other privates. That's holding steady at around 13%. More than 2/3 say their priority right now as investors is wealth preservation. Even family offices, that's usually investors with $100 million or more, they're moving a lot of money to the sidelines. They're planning to add more fixed income from 12 to 15%, and they plan to trim their equities a little bit lower to 24%. That's according to a new study from UBS. As one family office told UBS, quote, "We are not making big bets on anything right now."
Well, it may also be that, if you can get 6% a year or 7%, you have $100 million, you're going to be okay. And that was an environment that didn't exist for a long period.
Right. So that 6% or 7% return, I'm telling you to go put your money in Apple, and they've been returning 30%. They've been returning 30%. So you don't think that people are going to have their money invested in safe bets. This is why I keep trying to tell y'all, long and steady. Long and steady. Make sure you got your money in increasing dividends, such as aristocrats and kings. Make sure that you you got your emergency fund set up for at least a year, so you can maneuver and move how you want to. I got to put all this stuff together for you all and make an ebook, a little ebook, a little guide on how to move and how to maneuver. Things that you all could be doing in order to make your life easier, so you can make this, so you can have options. Like, I don't know how many, put a one in the chat if you like options. Put a one in the chat if you like options, because I like options. Thank you, Sir Octavius William of Williamsburg. Put a one in the chat if you like options. Right? And that's why I try to give you options. I want you to have the ability to say, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Here is the why. I don't have to do that because I have these options over here. Right? We want to have options. And the options that you have, you want to make sure that those options are, one, increasing your funds. That's one thing you want to have. And then two, you want to minimize loss. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have some losses, but you want to have minimum losses. All right. So let's get back to this video.
Good time.
So we can get to our other
Now it
topics.
does. That's, by the way, kind of risk-free rate. When you go out a bit in terms of private credit, Robert, there's real opportunities available to get serious return.
And it was really surprising to me. These are investors that have access to the best financial products in the world, around the world, and they're still into the 5-6% risk-free return. That is, no matter what you compare it to, really attractive. And the amount of cash that they have right now in those cash equivalents is so high.
We were just talking about, we interviewed Greg Lemkow last week in Santa Barbara of Michael Dell's family office. They're merging with BDT. There was a purchase of $100 million worth of Under Armour shares from Kevin Plank. I don't know if you saw this, by BDT. Just got
they did
$100 million worth of Under Armour shares. I talked about Under Armour last week. Just talked about Under Armour last week. Again, looking at where people are at in the market. Again, they're safe bets, the 5%, the 6%, the 7%. Sure, we want to get 20%. Sure, we want to get 30%. Sure, we do. Again, utilize the tools and the resources that are out there so you can find out where you can invest, how you can invest, what has a maximum return. Look at the maximum returns. Just look them up. Just look them up. 25 years, 50 years. What do you look like in your 401k? What are you investing in your HSA? You know your HSA, you can make investments in your HSA, right? You do know that you can put in the 3850 for the year and you can have that money making it work for you. What is the significance of the HSA? If you invest in that HSA, say let's do some math here. We just gonna do some simple math. We're not gonna do um a whole lot of what ifs. All right, so let's do some simple math here on this HSA. All right, so your HSA, you put in 38.50 a year. Now it can invest in the stock market inside of that HSA, depending on how you got your stuff set up, right? But let's just say for the next, we just going it increases every year. The year before it was 36, it increased up to 38.50, and it's different if you marry. It's 7,300, right? So let's just say single 38.50, right? And let's say for the next 10 years you invest in it. So we're just gonna multiply that by 10. That's 38,500. Let's take it back. Let's say you invest in it for 30 years. Let's say you got an HSA and you invested in it for 30 years, right? That's 115,000. I'm not saying that it's just not doing anything. I'm just doing your contribution every year. You put in 115,000. Now, you can have that money working for you inside that HSA. But the cool thing about the HSA is, with the HSA, when you retire and you hit your retirement goal, number one, it's deferred, but you don't have to have any RMDs coming out. There's like no RMDs that you have to take to come out. Required minimum distribution. In other words, the government's going to tax the money coming out, and it's required that you take that money. You have to take it. Here's the other thing about the HSA. With the HSA, you don't have to pay. You don't have to use that when you retire. I think it's when it's at 65. You don't have to use that for only medical expenses. It could be another source of income over time for you. So now let's go use the investor.gov uh, calculator. So let's go to investor.gov, and they have a calculator, a compound interest calculator here. And let's blow that up. Too big. All right, there we go. Let me see. All right, that looks good on the screen. All right, so let's say your initial investment for the let's say you like, I got some extra cash laying around. Your initial investment is 38.50. And let me do some math over here. 38.50 divided by 12. Let's say you max it out every month. But let me see what that is, what the actual number is. Come on, calculator. 38.50 divided by 12. It comes out to 320 a month. Um, that's 160 a paycheck. So we're gonna say you put in 320 a month, right? And let's say you leave it in there for 30 years. Let's say we do something silly like 6%, right? And let that compound annually. Let's calculate that. You could have $325,000 in 30 years sitting in your HSA account that you could use in your retirement. That's just another way. So maxing that out is a good thing. Let's say you're like, Tameika, that 320 monthly contribution is way, way, way too much for me. I can only do one. I can only do the 160. It's gonna be half. Then let's calculate it so you can see it for yourself. 173, right? Now, that's not to say that the market isn't going to do better than 6% or 7% or what have you. You may have some months where it's 9. You may have some years where it's 9, where some years where it's 10 or what have you, depending on the investments that you have set up in that particular HSA. But I'm just showing you just a different way of where your money could be growing and working for you as well. And the HSA is just one of those vehicles. So if you have the option at work to get an HSA or FSA, choose the HSA and write it out. But you could also get an HSA outside of work and do the investment for yourself, right? So let's get back to the video.
Gary Redstone last week from National Amusements. They've actually been moving in to help, I think, some of these founders and or owners who are levered a bit to their stock and want to not have to sell the stock.
Right, because Under Armour made a big point that Blank is not liquidating, he's just selling, but it provides a nice boost of confidence.
Yeah, and there is so much cash sitting there that they're going to look for these little opportunities, whether it's a big office building in New York that's suddenly become attractive from a price point of view, or even some public equities, a lot of direct deals in the private equity space, and private credit where you're getting 12, 15% returns for now on, top of the capital stack lending where the banks are not lending. So they are finding some opportunities
where the banks are not lending. So in other words, I got a ton of cash sitting on here and I got some people over here that want to buy this apartment building. I can go ahead and charge them 12 to 15% on this money and then go from there. So that's just another way, again, being liquid and having your liquid work for you, right? Being an angel investor is another way, right? Again, this is not financial advice. These are just suggestions and things that I have done along the way. Please feel free to do your own research and do your own investing, but these are just things that I've done. I invest into my own HSA and I max it out every month. Let me go and throw that over there, right? All right, so let's get back to it.
But not in public equities.
It's interesting, the conversation right now in public markets is obviously about structural growth and technology. And I wonder historically if these kinds of offices have been first to jump into those chapters or if they've waited to see how it panned out.
The tech family offices, those 40-year-old tech founders that now have a big Fortune family office, they're early into AI, really with sort of specific applications of AI, whether it's in financial services or security, as opposed to the big Googles and Amazons and Apples of the world, et cetera. So they are trying to find those, but there aren't that many at that level that you can really get a serious investment. But the tech family offices are looking for that right now.
That's good stuff. Wow, that's a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Robert, thanks. Good to see you. Robert Frank this morning.
All right. So now you know how the family, the high net worth individuals, $1 million are moving, $1 million.
But Weiss, I want to go to you first on this.
And you also know how the family offices are also moving as well too, right? So now let's get into this video here. I'm not going to stay long in this video because it's 20 minutes long. I just wanted to show you other ways that you can have money working for you or other opportunities as well too. So let's go here and I'm going to pause it.
I'm here at Ship Las Vegas, which is...
So this is about how setting up mini mailboxes where someone can make $50,000 a month with mini mailboxes. So say you got a little building out there, right? It's sitting there empty on the side of the road. It's a lot of volume. You can open it up where it's automated. Always think automation first. Self-serving, where somebody can walk in, do what they need to do. Mini mailboxes. Hey, drop a 1 in the chat if this has been useful to you. I don't know if people out there listening, are you asleep? Are we awake out here? I don't know. But I'm gonna play this so we can so you can see, right? So we talked about stocks, we talked about stock splits, we talked about investing into aristocrats and kings, we talked about increasing dividends, we also talked about HSAs. You've already heard me talk about your 401ks, and now we're gonna start talking about these mailboxes. How many mailboxes? Again, when you don't look at it as you got to do this by yourself. Get with a group of people. Maybe 2 or 3 of y'all get together. Y'all buy a y'all get a place in a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a standalone, but a shopping plaza, and y'all put in a mailbox where it's automated, right? Even Amazon has the package, the mailbox drops, where you can have a mailbox, you can have their actual packaging, or not packaging, but their package storage units inside of your location, where people may not want to have their stuff delivered to, they may not want to have their stuff delivered to the apartment complex in which they stay in, or something of that nature. You got to remember, going back to what I said before, these new tech cities that are being created, those new Augustas, Phoenix, Arizona, those locations are going to need things like this. And on top of that, you can get in now while it's cheap, and set up a location where people can have a mailbox, where they can have their PO box or whatnot. What's going on, Miss Phoenix 91? You said a family office is behind the multi-purchase of car washes in Toledo. Exactly, exactly. I've been talking about car washes for years. I've been saying car washes was a play. Those little self-serve car washes make 2 million a year, 2 million or more a year, and you all are not even, they're not even getting a good wash. You still got to get out, and so in some cases dry it off and still do your inside, like whatever. But that's neither here nor there. They're set up on the monthly subscription. Get your car washed as much as you want. You just got to remember, if you got luxury cars, some are touchless. But if you get those belts start whipping up on that car, and that dirt from somebody else's car hit your car, it's just whipping rocks and sediments all in throughout your paint. So whatever. But again, uh, back to what I was saying, the mailboxes in the new rural tech cities. That's what I will be looking at, because we already know that Augusta is going to be the actual um, model, and then everybody else is going to follow that model. The $20 billion that's going into um, Huntsville, the money that is going into Macon, um, throughout the Southeast, if we want to include Texas, the Southwest, the South, whatever. Um, the amount of money that's going into those areas. Now, let's not forget the Department of Energy also was granting people $100,000 to improve the energy and food consumption and so forth in rural areas. That's a part of that plan too. You always gotta always be looking at the bigger picture, and how, how these float down like little little droplets in rainwater, right? Every little bit counts. If you can get a part of a hundred here, a hundred there. Not only are you, when you looking at these places, they're also looking at to be green and energy efficient. So $100,000 going into, um, I mean, not $100,000, but solar panels going into those areas as well too. Um, and let's also not forget. Let's also not forget, when you look at the map of the U.S., 56% of Black people live in the South. 56%. So automation in the South is real. Half of the U.S. lives to this side of, I use San Antonio as my reference. Half of the U.S. lives on this side of the map. It filters out by Wyoming and Kansas and Idaho and so forth and so on. Right? But don't think that people are not buying up land in those areas as well too. Miss Phoenix, thank you for your tech ties too, by the way. I didn't say thank you. All right. So let's get into this video. I don't want to stay long on it. because I want to talk about how automation is going to affect the Black family. Um, where does the where do people need to be moving to? How automation is going to affect Black men. Your Black men are going to get hit the worst, and what that looks like, and what you can do to help if needed be, if you want to help, and what can you do as women as well too to help yourselves, and what are the skill sets that are needed. So let's get cracking.
A UPS, FedEx, and United Postal Service ship and drop off business. Now that might sound pretty boring, but let me tell you, this is a business that is really simple to run that can make you a lot of money. So we're gonna go meet the owner, Lisa, who happened to be a former Miss Las Vegas, and show how she started this business and how it's making some serious dough. And by the end, you'll probably wanna get in the mailbox business as well. So let's go check it out. All right, Lisa,
Hi,
it's good to see you
welcome.
again.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, so this is it. This is the spot.
This is it. Not a lot of super fancy stuff in here, but it definitely gets the job done.
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot that goes into this business and there's a lot of different revenue streams, but let's talk about the first and obvious one, which are these mailboxes. So
Yes.
how many mailboxes are there? I see like what, 200?
Yeah, 220.
220, that's the last one.
Yeah. And then we're waiting on another bank of 220. That'll go over on this wall.
Okay.
And then we'll eventually do another 220 there and 220 there.
Yeah, you got like, you could add over 1,000 easily. You could put
Yes.
even like a middle row if you
Yes.
really wanted to.
And that's why I wanted to configure the space in that format. So especially if you're looking to either start your own from scratch, or even if you want to acquire one, you want to make sure that there's a huge open space so that you can put in lots of mailboxes first, because this is going to be your steady recurring revenue every month.
Got it. So tell me, these are like the smaller ones.
Yeah, these are smalls and they're 20 a month. Mediums are 30 a month, and then the larges are 35 a month. So sometimes you'll see like the large ones, it's just based on kind of volume of mail. And you'll ask your customer, how much mail do you think you're going to be getting? And for example, one of our customers has a property management company.
Yeah.
So they get a lot of like kind of notices and checks via mail.
Yeah.
So they have a huge abundance of mail.
Right.
We have other customers that need a small box simply because they get a lot of packages. So they're like,
so yeah, how do packages work?
Yeah, so clearly they don't fit in here.
Yeah.
So whatever doesn't fit in here, we hold it in the back. And that's a nice thing, again, about this business model too, is that you don't need a ton of storage space, even though it sounds a little counterintuitive, where you would think, okay, if we're holding packages for people and accepting them on their behalf, we need tons of storage space. The reality is that it's high volume, right? So it's constantly turning.
Yep.
We may be accepting packages for folks, for a lot of people, but in general, they're coming to pick them up really quickly.
So you have all of these thus far, and like, I treat these like little passive income properties,
Mini
essentially.
storage units.
Yeah.
Now, so far, I don't know if you all had calculated anything or whatnot, but do you see how the business can run itself so far, just on the mailboxes alone? All right. Now, the next thing would be is, okay, we have other revenue streams, right? You got other revenue streams. Somebody need to ship something. Somebody needs some stamps. Somebody need to make a copy of something. You see this all the time. It's one right around the corner from the house, and it's people in there that are elderly or older, and they need help with like an email, or they need help with sending something, replying to something, or what have you. They like somebody sent them something and they said they need to, like, those little services and so forth and so on, are just little things, right? But also within this, it doesn't mean you can have you have to have just one. You don't have to have just one, right? So let's get back to it.
These are like mini storage units. The maintenance is low. There's not anything to do with them. Like it's
Correct. Yeah. Like you don't.
It's a lock and key.
The renter isn't damaging these units, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to either clean up or improve if, for whatever reason, your mailbox holder closes their box and you want to put a new one in. there's nothing to do to the box.
So what's like your vacancy rate on this? You know, like how many of these are actually being utilized?
Yeah, so I mean, we're at over 90% on this set of units here,
Wow.
which is why we ordered another bank. It's a super sticky business in the sense that once people have their boxes, and we have many box holders who have been with us for several years because they don't want to change their address again.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on the, you know, if you're running a business and you set it up, your entity and all that, you're going to use this as your address. And the last thing you want to do is go rechange it for all the other stuff you got going on.
Absolutely. And even on the registered agent side too, here in Nevada, in general, every LLC needs a registered agent, has to be listed with Secretary of State. And so we can act as their commercial licensed registered agent too.
Yeah, I mean, for 20 bucks a month, like this is nothing. So I love that. So going over here, I mean, obviously you're going to do another 220 units and that should double revenue. And I mean,
I'm gonna pause there for a second because I want to show this because I don't want to stay too long. I know I could go all day and look at it, but Amazon postal storage. See if I can find those boxes right here. Not that one. That's not what I want. Where's those Amazon boxes? Amazon storage boxes. And I may have to go to Amazon's website and look down at the bottom. Let me go to Amazon's website. Let me go down here to the bottom on their website. And let me blow this up. All right, go down a little bit. All right, so let's see. Make money with us. Start a package business. Let me see. That might be it. Let's look. That's the package delivery, but there's another one where you can get their little boxes that they have for Amazon and you just drop them off. I can't think of the name of them. And it's not, I don't want to do Amazon delivery. It's not Amazon delivery. Let me see. Host the Amazon hub. It may be this one. Yeah, here we go. So you could, in that same location, she could host the Amazon hub, or pick up locations and so forth, right? You get a locker. Here's like one that's an apartment locker, but in that building that she had, she could put one in there. In that building that she had, she could host one and put one in there, right? So I was just trying to show you like different ways you could take that same business and scale that business. Once you get the template down, once you figure out what you need in that area, right, and how people operate and move, right? You can look for that same demographic and so forth and so on, and then go from there, right? So just a FYI on that. Just a FYI. All right, so we'll do another 2 or 3 minutes on this one, and then we'll roll into our next content.
The cool thing I like about this business is like the startup cost is super low. Like this building is just a blank office space that doesn't cost a ton of money. My guess is, like, how many square feet is this?
So this one is just around 1,400 square feet.
1,400 square feet. And what are you paying, like $3,000 a month or something?
We're at like $2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, with cams.
Yeah.
So it's solid, right? With this location in particular, when we had first moved in, this space had been previously utilized by a tenant that had a photography business.
Okay.
So they had these like weird half walls jutting out in places.
They just had different sets. Yep, I see the lines.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
And so it costed me about $10,000 to do the demo
Got
to
it.
knock down the half walls. And then, of course, I asked for credit from the landlord for
Yep.
tenant improvements, right? So essentially, net, it costed me
Zero.
nothing out of pocket.
Yep.
And that was the only like improvement we had to make to the space. There
Fun-
was no like real build out.
Fun fact, our first office space where I've done office tours on, it was a $250,000 build out because it was
Wow.
gray shell.
Wow.
We got glass and all this cool stuff,
Mhm.
and it was zero out of pocket for me.
Nice.
So it was
That's
great.
beautiful. Yeah.
So what does it cost to go get a new one of these? Like,
Yeah. So this was just built by a local carpenter.
okay,
And it costed us around $1,500. You could go like super fancy with anything that's in here. All of this is considered like furniture, right? Meaning this is not
Yeah.
like bolted down
No.
to the floor, right? So even our shipping counters and stuff, it's furniture. It's not a tenant improvement.
Yep.
So it was all built by local carpentry, and that's way better than having to hire a general contractor to do tenant improvements.
Yep.
Completely different.
Yep. So what about the mailboxes? What are you going to pay for all those?
It's going to be around $3,900.
And in the first month, once they're all leased out,
Mm-hmm.
that'll pay for it.
At 220 boxes, if you're averaging $30 per box between the medium, large, and then the smalls, you're at almost $7,000.
$7,000. And the vision is to have, you already got $7,000 right there. That's another seven, then maybe even two more. Like, I mean, you could be bringing in, over $40,000 a month just in mailboxes.
Right. And then
If
the
there's
shipping,
enough demand.
And then the shipping is just pure profit.
Yeah. So let's talk about like the other things that you've got.
So y'all like that model? 7,000 per bank at 220. Right, so that ain't bad, right? I think you can make it off of that. I think you can. All right. So I just wanted to talk about that. So let's get back to our other stuff. All right. So that was that one. Did that. Oh, I should have ran into this too earlier. SAIC, their profits jumped up above expectations, so their stock was on the rise. If you haven't been paying attention to the federal contracts and the Lockheed Martins of the world, the Boeings, the whole nine, what's happening with those? You should be paying attention, because that's where, see, you got to understand. People always asking like, where is the market going? Federal contracting is the biggest business. That's the longest business. That is the most givenest business around. There are always contracts out there, meaning there's always jobs. So I went and looked up some jobs here in Atlanta to see what they were looking at. What they were, again, getting your clearance, going from that. And let's talk about that for a quick second, because a lot of people get upset with this whole clearance thing, right? Here's what the clearance model. If you don't understand it, this is what it does. All right. With your clearance, what you gain is steady W-2 work. So when a lender looks at you, they see steady W-2, increasing W-2 money coming in. That's one. Number two, because you have your clearance, you're always going to be in a mental mind state of making sure that your credit is fine. Three, you're always going to be in a mental mind state that you don't want to F up your credit, because you don't want to F around and find out, right? And four, you're always going to be looking for the job that's going to increase your skill set, because you got to increase your skill set. And you're going to be looking for the job that's going to compensate you for that increase in your skill set. So you can go from one job being at 100,000 to getting a certification and leave that one job if they don't pay for you, upward mobility on that, to leaving that job and going to getting another job that may you pay you another $50,000. And then the way the actual contracts work, you may be working with a small company that has the ability to pay you more because they got less overhead, right? So you may work with a company that may be a 50 size person company where their DevSecOps security engineers, cloud migration engineers, they're gonna pay them 220 and up to start, not including bonuses and equity, company dependent. So you may work at a company, a small company, for 4 or 5 years, but you've been getting paid to 20, to 30, to 40, to 50, to 60, to 70, to 80 for the last 4 years. So now when you go to apply for a loan where you may need to get $50,000 in a personal loan because you want to invest in a mini mailboxes that you know that's going to return you that money over time. When you may not invest the whole 50, you may invest 30,000 into it. But now you got steady income, steady increasing income, W-2 wise, to help you get this loan to make this investment that's going to return to pay that investment back. And you're not taking your money from over here to pay that investment back. Then you turn around and you say, okay, how can I then utilize my skill sets 1099 wise, and now on a business side, using my skill set, increase the business revenue utilizing my skill set outside of my W-2. So now I can use the taxation of a business 1099 to make that work and still maybe pay that loan back. Or now, business wise, I got more revenue coming in because I got revenue coming in from the boxes, the mini boxes that I have, from looking at that as a company. But now I'm using my skill sets as well to as the company to increase the revenue for the company. So now my skill sets and my mailboxes are increasing that, and you could get a job, I don't know, paying 100 an hour, 150 an hour, 200 an hour. So if you, let's say you hit a lick, let's say you hit a lick and you get a job that's paying you 175 an hour, you work it for 6 months. Let's do some simple math here. Let's say, get my calculator up here. So you get a job paying you 175 an hour. You work 40 hours a week. And let's say for the month is 28,000 and you work it for 6 months. That means the company gross revenue, or gross income, I should say, it's 168,000 for those 6 months. Let's say in them 6 months, let's say you did do a mini post office, a little mini box. Let's say you only made 30,000, right? So 30,000 times 6 is 180. So that's roughly $350,000 that the company could make off of your mini boxes and your skill sets. Now, what does that look like now? So now I'm leveraging my skill sets I'm leveraging my income stream from my boxes, but now I want to maybe get into delivery. Well, I've been showing revenue here for that, so I need to get a loan from let's say Mercedes Benz or let's say GMC, because now I want to do Uber Black, or I want to do delivery of packages, or I want to do Turo. Well, I can leverage my business in order to do those things there. So when you look at going back to where you started, you can look at the fact that you got your clearance and have increasing money over time and increasing your credit score over time as leverage in order to do other things. I don't know. Let me know if that sounds good to you. What'd you think, D? Yeah. So just a thought, just other ways. There's other ways. You don't have to do none of that. You can go buy a business and don't do none of that. You can go buy a post office. It's already operating. But your W-2 income can help you with that. All right. All right. So pay attention to companies like SAIC, Lockheed Martin, um, Capgemini, Accenture. Pay attention to those companies. All right. All right. If you heard about this, the U.S. is building factories at a wildly fast rate. Goes backing up what I stated earlier. All right. The new data for the Census Bureau reveals construction spending by U.S. manufacturers more than doubled from last year. The U.S. government has offered, oh, come on, stop doing it, has offered billions in subsidies in electric vehicles, semiconductors, and solar panels. The U.S. added more than 800,000 jobs in manufacturing. And there was an article that came out that Gen Z doesn't care about manufacturing. That ain't something they want to do. So these jobs are sitting empty. And what do you think when people come across the border? What do you think they're going to be hitting up? And what kind of jobs you think they're going to be doing? Who you think going to be working under the table? Right? So here, according to the data from the Census Bureau released last year, construction spending by manufacturers more than doubled over the past year. For 2023, the annual rate reached nearly 190 billion compared to 90 billion in 2022, with manufacturing accounting for around 13% of non-government construction. The U.S. government has offered billions of dollars in subsidies for production of electric vehicles, solar panels, again, chip manufacturing as well, to compete with countries such as China. Now, it is also predicted that China would take over GDP this year from the U.S. There is an article out there that I grabbed for your own thing, right? Your own edification there. China makes up 30% of the global value added from manufacturing, about double of the US. Over the last few decades, Asia has taken up the greater share of global factory manufacturing. Factories are being constructed everywhere from deserts to resort towns of the US as the US tries to bring back manufacturing of goods commonly imported from lower cost countries. Many battery and electric vehicle factories have popped up in the Rust Belt, while solar panel and renewable energy factories now span much of the South and the Southeast. The U.S. added 800,000 jobs in manufacturing employment over the last 2 years, employing around 13 million workers per May Bureau of Labor Statistic jobs. However, according to the National Association of Manufacturing, The manufacturing skill gaps caused by the labor market struggle to find workers with highly technical and manual expertise could lead to 2.1 million jobs being unfulfilled. Right? Again, we got 54% of the US that can't read or write. We also have people that cannot read or pass the sixth grade. So, who is going to fill those jobs? They're going to be automated and they're going to be filled with immigrants. Unless you decide that you want to take a stab at your life and start reading. Start reading a book a month. Start reading the newspaper every day. Start reading articles, read out loud. Comprehension is a thing. We've already said. I reported last week that people are putting their credit scores on their dating profiles. They're putting credit scores on their dating profiles. Put a sonnet on your dating profile and ask the person to read it out loud. I'm going to take a page from Day's book, from Dee's book, is have that man read the menu at the dinner table. Have that woman read the dinner menu at that table. Do not let them get away with, I want a number one or number two. They have tricked you. They have fooled you. You have been bamboozled into ordering number one and number two and number three. Start reading. You want the spicy chicken sandwich number 6 at Wendy's. You want the cheeseburger meal, the 2 cheeseburger meals. Stop ordering with the numbers. Read out loud. If that person cannot read, we have an issue. If the person cannot read, how can they balance a checkbook? If the person cannot read, how can they financially understand investing? I'm just saying. We're at the crux now where you're going to have to do better. We're at the crux now where there are no more excuses. If you cannot read, why? How can we help you? How can we help you? If you are 35 and you cannot read, how can we help you? What are we supposed to do? Honestly, men and women. That's an issue. Some of you can't give correct change. You don't know if I gave you $1 and you owe me back 50 cents, you don't know what that is. I don't know why. I don't understand. I'm not going to put all the blame on the parents. I'm not going to put all the blame on the schools. I'm not going to put blame on the actual individuals, but I will put blame on why you stopped growing. Why did you stop? I will do that. I will do that. All right. So when I see these reports coming out, I'm telling you, you will be a permanent underclass. You don't know how to read. You don't want to know how to read. You don't want to do math. You don't want to do anything. In fact, I got a lot of stuff to say today. We about to get into it. We're going to finish this up. We're going to get into it. The sudden rise in the factory construction corresponds with the passage of the CHIPS and the Science Act in July of 2022, which provided $280 billion in funding to boost manufacturing of semiconductors, as well as the Inflation Reduction Act in 2022. The IRA has also sought to create jobs in manufacturing, construction, renewable energy, estimated to create up to 1.5 million jobs. Now, here's where I have beef at. Here's where I have beef. I have beef with, you could go learn these jobs, but who's going to be the employer of the jobs? See, you got to understand, If you don't understand business, if you don't understand finances and you can't read, you're going to always work for somebody. So when do we take it upon the initiative to understand how business works? How to get the actual grant, how to get the actual ability to have the company or win that actual contract. That's where you got to understand that. That's where the money at. The money is not you in you working. That's part of the money. But the bigger part of the money is being the business owner. The subsidies, the grants, the earn credit to keep the employees going. That's where the money is at. And let me ask you this: how many of y'all have worked for somebody and they actually showed you how to create a business? Just curious. How many of y'all have you worked for someone and they actually showed you how to create a business? How to pay taxes in a business, how to do audits, how to look for a CPA, how to find insurance for your business. So you got one or two things. You can be the employee or you can be the employer. And how many of the people that are an employee, or I should say, how many people that are employer in the employer, do you think they know every single position that they have? Do you think they know every position? Do you think they can do the work? In some cases they can. In most cases they can't. You got to figure out which side of the map you're going to be on. You can be the employee or you can be the employer. Just putting it out there. Let it marinate for a minute. All right. With that being said, as we continue to march down to manufacturing, what is the state of the Black community in employment? How is AI going to wipe out everybody? Right? We're going to get busy today. Let's look at this. The big city winners and losers are the Fortune 500, while Houston, Atlanta, and Dallas are almost beating New York and Chicago. Houston, Atlanta, Dallas. 56% of Black people live in the South, Southeast, Southwest. Houston, Atlanta, Dallas. Remember last year? I don't know if you remember when I said JP Chase Morgan is deploying 1,500 more high net worth agents into Dallas, Atlanta, and Houston. We see the chip manufacturing of 280 billion. We see data centers going up. You see solar energy, solar panels going up. I am giving you the blueprint of where the money is at. You ask yourself, what are you going to do? Are you going to be the fallout? Or are you going to be in it? Your cities are changing. They're not the same. So let's go. Oh, I got it on my tablet. Oh, gotta sign in. Oh, Fortune. Let me read it over here. Let me read it from over here. All right. It's a Fortune. Ooh. I'm telling you, today, somebody's feelings gonna get hurt. It ain't gonna be mine. Let me open it up. I'll read it from over here. Oh, they said I didn't had too many of them. Oh yeah, I didn't sign in. You get the idea. You gotta buy it. I'll come back to it. Let's go. America is going through an oil boom. Don't forget those three cities. And I also posted the actual in Atlanta, actually in Decatur, where they just opened up a movie theater, not a movie theater, but a stage, a production stage, a movie production stage in Atlanta, and there's a couple of more that's opening up, 700 million. So again, when you're looking at where manufacturing, the money is going in, all throughout Atlanta, Macon, Augusta, Phoenix, Ohio, um, and there's supposed to be 10 other tech cities being built, rural tech cities, right? Rural tech cities, right? All right, America is going through an oil boom, and this time it's different. Let me blow it up. Talking about Texas again. America's oil industry is booming in a surprising way. It doesn't look like the booms of the past when the companies would scramble to pump, pump as much oil as possible, and the region would attract so many workers it became impossible to find housing and free hotel rooms. Instead, a sector infamous for booms and busts is finally learning how to embrace the one thing they never known before is moderation. The shift is doing a lot in the pyramid, America's most prolific oil basin. Oil companies are raking in profits, and steadier work has also been good for workers across the region. But the economic geospatial climate implications are more complicated. Here are 5 things to know about the shift. Oil prices are volatile but very profitable. And you heard Erica Williams talk about this. She's investing in oil refineries as well. Let me keep going here. Uh, see, that's good for Bruce. Let me see. Let me see if they got headlines. I may have to read them. Yeah, I may have to read this. The impact on climate is less clear because we always talk about climate change. So let's read through this. Do 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 do. All right. Oil prices are volatile. Last year, Russia invasion of the Ukraine sent crude prices soaring well past $100 a barrel. Remember when oil, was it oil or was it gas, went down to a barrel? I don't know if y'all remember that. It happened like during the pandemic. It went down to $1. Last year, Russia invasion of Ukraine sent crude prices soaring well past 100 a barrel and meant that producers were making money hand over fist. Prices have since fallen, but they remain at or above their pre-pandemic levels. Significantly, they consistently been high enough for most producers to drill new wells as profit. The most recent survey, Dallas Federal Reserve, found that the new pyramid producer can break even on a new well when WTI, a key reference price for oil prices, is trading at $61 a barrel, and currently prices are well above that level. The result: big profits for companies and higher employment and wages for workers in the Pyramid Basin. But I mean, before the pandemic, the U.S. oil industry followed a predictable pattern. When there was an increase in prices, the U.S. shale players would rush in and increase the production to try to capture the price increase. Right? In previous boom times, more than 500 drilling rigs were operating simultaneously across the pyramid as oil companies chased high oil prices. All those well contributed to a huge growth in oil supply, which then led to a huge oversupply, which inevitably led to a huge price crashes and a resulting collapse in the drilling boom or bust. And let's look at this real quick. Investing in oil wells, Texas. So just a quick glance, right? It looks like people have like investing industry, oil well investing, monthly income, Oil well investing opportunities in Dallas, invested in oil wells in Texas, right? Here's some projects right here. Texas Gov private oil and gas offerings. This is from 2019. Let's go back and do a change this for the past year. Here's Pheasant Energy, how to invest in oil and gas. Oil companies invest millions in the pyramid again ahead of let's see, I don't know, it don't say what the rest of it is there. Oil investments are expected to make this Texas university some money, right? So again, go and look up how you invest in oil wells. Go look up and how you invest in oil wells, right? It's just a quick search, right? It's just a quick search. Because the schools are in it, Texas University is in it. Oil investments are expected to make this Texas university the nation's wealthiest. The University of Texas Austin is just a couple of hours up the road from headquarters in San Antonio, may soon unseat Harvard as the wealthiest school in the U.S. How it has managed to do so is one word: oil. Now, it said Harvard. Harvard endowment is this. Harvard endowment, that's a grant. It's 53.2 billion. The University of Austin, the University of Texas Austin is expected to exceed that. Put that in perspective there. At the time when large sovereign wealth funds are divesting from fossil fuels and ESG, investing has gone mainstream. UT System has been the longtime owner and the manager of 2.1 million acres of mineral-rich land scattered across West Texas that it leases out to as many as 250 producers, including Conoco. Thanks to higher oil prices, the mineral rights to the land generally roughly brings them $6 million every day. The UT System decision to continue participating in oil is keeping Texas close ties to fossil fuel industry. The state produces more oil and gas than any other, a fact that policymakers are eager to protect. This week, Texas moved to restrict state pension funds from investing into BlackRock, UBS Group, Credit Suisse, and a number of financial institutions that have been too hostile towards the energy sector. So that gives you an idea of what they're expecting for them. Deloitte projects that oil and gas producers could report the highest ever free cash flow, FCF, as much as $1.4 trillion in 2022. The industry could also become debt free in 2024. So, mini boxes, oil wells, right? So I found this today. We're not gonna stay here long because we gotta get into it. The IRS is cracking down on popular small business tax break that could lead to costly audit. Basically, they're trying to get rid of the ERC, which is, let me blow that up some more. Specialist small business consulting firms have sprung up to help business owners claim the employee retention credit, a government tax incentive intended for taxes for companies stressed by the pandemic. They call it the dirty dozens. Right here, if you look right here, the dirty dozen list of tax scams. So be aware of that if you're a small business. All right. Does $100,000 annual salary mean you're rich? I'm gonna answer that for you. No, we can keep moving. I ain't gonna spend time on that. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna even do it. I'm not gonna even torture you like that. I'm not gonna even do it. But this is getting ready to get into what I want to talk about. The world population is, and we saw this last week with the guy switching out his blood. Right? He got a blood transfusion. He took the blood from his 17-year-old son, injected himself with it, and then gave his blood to his dad. Right? Right. So we saw that. But the world, and then that's the also, and there is also a huge push on people extending their life and living longer. But you can see here, I'm gonna blow this up. You can see here, 1 in 4 people will be over 65 years of age by 2100. And in on this chart here, African countries will be the only nations where the population of people age 65 and above falls below falls below 15%, right? And so this dark blue line, here's the United States right here. Right here, here's Bolivia. But they're trying to show you that the world is aging, right? Let's go here. Country by population. Afghanistan, and then it gets got it all in order. Let me go by here. Puerto Rico, South Korea, Jamaica, Hong Kong, China, Thailand. The United States don't even make the top, right? 49% of the 49, they got a 49% chance that those people are gonna be over 65. What we got is a dying population. We don't have enough people producing more kids, and we're living longer. So that's why they keep telling women that you all need to prepare for a second retirement, because you all are not going to make it in retirement, because you're going to be broke and washing up in the cemetery. So that's what they say, right? Or with a backpack. So y'all need to figure that out. It says some of the places where high elderly shares today include high income countries like Japan, Italy, and Finland. The lowest shares are concentrated in the Middle East and Africa, right? But over time, almost all countries are expected to see their older population segments grow. In just 3 decades, it estimated that 1 in 4 European, North American, and Asian residents will be over 65 years of age. We have an aging population, a aging non-working population, because you're going to retire at 65, 72. You're going to be retired, right? All right. So what does that mean? We got people that can't read, can't write. We got an aging population. We got in 2030, we're going to have 2.1 million manufacturing jobs that are not there. I mean, that are there and empty. And we also have men that are not working as much as they did decades before. And Gen Zs do not want to do manufacturing. So here's the result of what's happening. Young men aren't working as much as they used to, and they have less financial freedom than previous generations. All right, let's get into it. It may hurt some feelings, but it is what it is. It says 25 years old were less likely to be working full-time in 2021 than in previous generations. That's driven by men working less than they did 4 decades ago, and men have been leaving the workforce in greater numbers over the past few years. We did the report earlier, about 7 million men have left the workforce, and they are continuing to leave the workforce. Let's get into some whys. America in their mid-20s are less likely to be working full-time, and be financially independent than their previous generations at the same age. That's according to the 1980 decennial census data and a new Pew Research analysis of 2021 Americans Community Survey of over 3 million U.S. households. 66% of the 25-year-olds in 2021 were working full-time, down from 73% of the 25-year-olds in 1980. 60% had financial independence, which Pew defined as income of at least 150% of the poverty level. This was down 63% in 1980. Broken by gender, data indicates that men have driven these changes. 4 decades ago, 85% of the 25-year-old men were working full time. In 2021, it's 71%. Financial independence among this group declined from 77% in 1980 to 64% in 2021. Women have fared better. 61% of 25% of 25-year-old women were working full time in 2021, and in line with 61% that did in 1980. So stayed steady. Financial independence among that group rose 50% in 1980 to 56% in 2021, suggesting that more young women have found their way to higher paying professions. 25-year-olds aren't the only men who are working at a lower rate than they used to. In 1980, roughly 94% of the men between the ages of 25 to 54 were working or looking for work, but that has steadily fallen to 89% as of March. The decline of the men's labor force participation over the last 4 decades has been driven by the working age men without a 4-year degree, according to the Boston Fed study from last year. The Pew and Boston Fed research underscore a broader trend of men reevaluating their relationships with work, as people have done widely since the pandemic. In particular, the Boston Fed found that young men without college degrees left the workforce due to the disillusionment of their salary prospects over time. Also disheartened by how those prospects reflected on their social status and marriageability. Men without college degrees have seen their real earnings fall by 30% since 1980 compared to those of all prime age workers between 25 and 54. Automation and offshoring of jobs in industries like manufacturing have worked against men as well. Factors like disabilities or becoming a stay-at-home dad have kept others out of the workforce. Even men earning 6 figures are trying to work less. A recent paper of the National Bureau of Economic Research found that highly educated high earners have been clocking fewer hours at their jobs over the last few years. As women's educational attainment has gone up, the marriage birth rates have gone down, there's been a surge of women of all ages entering the workforce over the past 4 decades. In April, the share of U.S. women between 25 to 54 was 77%, the highest level ever recorded. The bar for what it takes to make a lot of money is moving up. Hence, the article is $100,000 make you rich? The answer is no. And don't let anyone out here fool you on these Obama internets or Beyonce's internet, whatever you want to say, right? Your $100,000 in New York, in California, and even parts of Atlanta are not enough to sustain you with a wife and kids, a husband and kids, 2 or 3. It's not enough. And people will tell you that it is. And I can give you the math as to why it is not enough. Once you max out your 401k every month, your HSA, school, food, car, life insurance, health, maybe taking care of an aging parent, whatever the case may be, or maybe a sickly parent, or maybe a sickly husband or spouse, or whatever the case may be. It's not enough. And just because you get to 100,000 don't mean you should stop. Let me say it how old boy said on Set It Off. You don't do no work, you don't get nothing. I'm in a bind, Nate. You don't do no work, you don't get nothing. Get your skills up. Don't be on the sidelines. Don't let this money pass you by. Go create. Become the owners. Become the employers. Don't be the employees. Don't sit on the sideline. Right? It says it's unclear why a smaller share of 25-year-olds are working financially independent than they used to be. While the pandemic caused the U.S. unemployment rate to spike to nearly 15% in 2020, it fell considerably by 2021, right? Some men might be enrolled in grad school. As of 2021, 14% of Americans aged 25 and older had obtained a graduate or professional degree, up 10% from 2021. Even though getting a degree is prohibitively expensive for many Americans and the debt can be crippling, college grads still earn more than workers with no university degree. The narrative that education doesn't pay is not true, right? So let's get into this. Let's close this out. Let's minimize this. Now let's hurt some feelings. All right. This is my ode to what I see and what I've been reading over time about the Black family. So let's start backwards. We talked about the Black family. Well, we talked about men. But let's talk about this. There's an analysis out there that said 45% of the Black private sector workers, which is approximately 6.7 million, here are the three industries that you work in. The frontline service of healthcare, retail, and accommodation and food service. So let's go ahead and debug some stuff really quickly. I'm going to put this over here because I got a lot of things I want to say in reference. And let me get my screen back up so I can see comments. All right, so let's go here, right? We'll blow this up. 6.7 million workers work in healthcare, retail, and accommodation. So let's talk about it. What's going to be automated? Construction automation. Those jobs are not going to sit empty in construction. They're not.
There's a lot of buzz around self-driving cars, but autonomous driving technology could revolutionize a different industry first.
Everyone's talking about self-driving cars. And rather than starting the 51st self-driving car startup, what if we apply that same idea to a more tractable use case, which we believe to be construction?
Unlike cars functioning on city streets, autonomous tech is at a point where it can be safely integrated.
Construction sites are more systematic and controlled than public roads are. Construction is more conducive in the near term to the rollout of autonomous equipment.
And the introduction of automation in construction could have a profound impact on an industry that has been slow to adapt.
The way we build today is largely unchanged from the way we used to build 50 years ago. And so there has been a certain level of stagnation as far as the technological innovation goes in the industry.
Now that's just one. And I'm going to show you this one. Automation in the shipyard. Right here. Automation in the ports. Right here.
Oh, these are the automated ones.
Our Stu Mundell over the port of Los Angeles, seeing something unfold many folks probably didn't know about. The port is going automated. Artificial intelligence and digital technology are moving and powering commerce here.
These are drones.
Containers are lowered onto trailers, and within seconds, those trucks drive off. They know where to turn, where to drive, and where to drop off their cargo. They even yield to each other when one crosses in front of the other, and there are no humans in sight.
Four-wheel steering. These are cool.
The old supply chain, so to speak, is no longer in place.
Professor Nick Via.
Who do you see at the helm? East Indian, right? You see Indians, right? Automation. I've been saying this forever. You can be the employee or you can be the worker. Employer or the worker bee, right? So that's just that, right? So we got automation at the ship ports. You got automation in construction. Let's go look at my notes here. Bricklaying. Let's look at the bricklaying robots.
A bricklaying robot has broken its own record, laying 200 bricks in just 1 hour. Meet the Hadrian X. The machine is made by an Australian company called Fast Brick Robotics, or FBR for short. For reference, human bricklayers typically lay 300 to 500 bricks per day, with the record being an astonishing 914 bricks in just 1 hour. The Hadrian X's 200 bricks per hour may sound slow in comparison, but it's not using ordinary bricks. These are made special for the Hadrian X by FBR, and they're 12 times larger than standard house bricks. FBR says that its specially made bricks are lighter, stronger, and will minimize waste. But the Hadrian X isn't limited to these special bricks. It can also be used with standard bricks in a range of different sizes. The adhesive that joins the bricks is also an FBR original, drying and setting in 45 minutes as opposed to mortar, which can take 1 to 2 days to set. To compensate for wind, vibrations, and other natural disturbances which may disrupt the bricklaying process, the Hadrian X uses something called dynamic stabilization technology to remain steady and precise. For ease of transport, the Hadrian X is seen here mounted to a truck, but FBR says that its bricklaying robot could also be mounted to boats, barges, cranes, and more. FBR's website claims that the Hadrian X could build the walls of a home in 1 to 3 days, and that each robot could build the walls of 100 to 300 homes a year in the right conditions. Human technicians and operators are needed to set up and feed bricks into the Hadrian X, but once it's up and running, it is fully autonomous, using 3D models to guide its brick placement. The Hadrian X bricklaying robot.
So, construction, shipyard, bricklaying. Okay. Got one more for you. The Future of Work in Black America. This is came out. I think this one is a 2019 one. We're also going to look at this one. The future, the workforce of the future, competing forces shaping 2030. The time is now, right? Here's another one. The future of jobs report for 2023 came out in May. You want to know where you need to be? Right? Go here with the driverless truck because you say you want to be a truck driver. You want to be a truck. Oh, DJ, y'all. I don't know why you can't hear. I don't know why you can't hear. But you get it. Driverless trucks. Let me figure out why you can't hear. Because we're gonna talk about Walmart and its automation. That was the driverless trucks. But here's Walmart and its automation.
Walmart looking to the future, the company betting big on automation to boost productivity and profits. Melissa Repko back in studio after attending the company's investment community meeting down in Tampa. And I know one of the things that stood out to you, Melissa, is how much automation Walmart is bringing to its distribution center.
Yes, Walmart really emphasized how it is using automation to boost profits and how this will be a major push in the coming years as it tries to kind of squeeze every drop out of sales. Of course, as sales are moving online, those sales become more expensive. And so it's looking at...
I think driverless trucks and buses will last. I think it's just going to be an integration of both. I think you're going to have some routes that are driverless, and I think you're going to have some routes that have a driver. I think it's going to be both. I think there are going to be less drivers, or that are going to be driving. They're going to be just there, but I don't think there's going to be a total gut like men are going away from driving, or women, because there are women drivers too. But I think it's going to be both. But let's go.
Ways to do that more smartly, and one of the ways is by speeding things along with the help of robots.
And that certainly implies fewer people.
Well, that is a question that came up, and I asked Doug McMillon that, CEO Doug McMillon, and he said he does not anticipate that it will actually shrink the number of headcount, but it may shift them to other parts of the company. So instead of having as many people at the fulfillment centers or the distribution centers like the one we saw, and both are being automated in different ways, they might be helping with curbside pickup orders. They might be personal shoppers at the store running around once those robots help replenish shelves and either packing them in a box or getting them ready for someone to pick up outside the store.
How much of today's sort of fulfillment, let's put it that way, is automated this way versus how much they want to have fulfilled this way in X years?
For Walmart, it's still extremely early in the process. So we saw one of the distribution centers, but ultimately they plan to roll that out to the other 41 of the...
Let's be clear. Walmart is doing 65% automation. Let's be clear. Right? So that's Walmart. Right? Let's go here. Dining into restaurants. Right here, May 5th. You may never eat inside a fast food restaurant again. Yeah, I'll put them on the community wall. As diners increasingly turn to delivery, the future of fast food restaurant will be no human interaction at all. We already saw this coming. We've been seeing this. You're not going to go in and pick up your food. You're just going to ride by. All right, let's go. There was a time when your local McDonald's was ideal spot for a 6-year-old birthday party. Its play places had ball pits, slides where children could spend hours post Happy Meal. McDonald's launched those play places in 1970s in an effort to build brand loyalty in children by emphasizing a family-friendly environment. Today, you'd be hard pressed to find one. That's not just due to safety and health concern. Ball pits are known for be a bacterial cesspool. People just aren't hanging out at fast food joints the way they used to. By the end of 2021, dine-in visits and fast food chains have fallen in just 14%. At 14% of the restaurant traffic compared to 28% pre-pandemic, according to the market research firm NPD. When it comes to burgers and fries, people are increasingly scarfing them down in their homes, at their offices, in their cars, anywhere really, but in the restaurant. Now, McDonald's and other fast food and fast casual giants are betting on the digital kitchen. Sleek, compact stores that harness automation and digitalization to have their diners ordering through a mobile app or digital kiosk to get dinners in the kitchen and out of in record time. Meanwhile, chains are demolishing their dining rooms or shrinking them in order to meet the demand of the drive-through and digital ordering. Steve Baker, an architect from Harrison French and Associates who works on fast food design and development, wrote an article last year for McDonald's, Sweet Green, and others. Reducing seats means chains can open smaller stores, lower overhead, saving expenses on real estate. And if I was somebody like Walmart, if I was somebody like Target, if I was somebody like Publix, I would be dedicating designated areas for multiple chains to come and have food services. So I could have, if it were me, I would have, instead of a big box restaurant like McDonald's, I would go ahead and go build up and have a just automated McDonald's down below, and then have my apartment above. But if I don't want to do that, I can have slots set up where people just come in, they order their food, kind of like a food hall. You can make a food hall right there in the like a food hall on the actual property. Well, basically, you come up to a kiosk, you drive up, you make your order, and and that kiosk can have Starbucks, it can have Burger King, it can have Taco Bell, it can have whatever. You pick the restaurant you wanna go to, you punch in what you want. You want Starbucks, you want something from whatever. You go through the drive-through. You have a person outside making sure that the people reading off the orders, everything gets copacetic, right? And then go and march on down the line. And you just have that just automated. You only need humans to go maybe pick up the food and bring it back and make sure you got everything right. That's what I would do. Right? It says McDonald's announced hundreds of layoffs in its corporate offices as part of a larger strategy to open new locations while investing more in digital delivery and drive-through. And for all the fast food and fast casual restaurants, whether it's third-party delivery apps, automated kiosks, or even food delivery by drone, the glittering promise of tech is the ability to offload to machines more and more of the tasks performed by people paid an hourly wage. Last year, 85% of the fast food restaurants were to go, according to the data. Drive-thrus are busier than ever, and roughly 3/4 of the orders being placed at the drive-thru. Food service consulting firm Technomic found 73% of the orders at a limited service restaurants, places where you pay in advance and don't typically have a table service, including fast food and fast casual dining, were either carry out or delivery in the first half of 2022. New dining room less concept restaurant in Fort Worth, Texas, designed around digital orders and more efficient pickups. Sweet Green has launched a few new locations without seating in DC, smaller digital kitchens offering only pickup and drive-through. While Panera, a sandwich serving staple with booths, tables galore in the suburbs, is opening smaller stores with less seating in urban areas, as well as to-go only stores, right? Wingstop, KFC, Burger King, and IHOP are on that list. At IHOP, Nascent flipped the locations. All food is packaged to go, and there's limited seating, right? Starbucks as well. And the list goes on. What they're expecting is McDonald's is particular standout is reported sales growth of more than 10% in 2022, recording a $6.1 billion in profit after increasing prices about 10% too. Cost no longer seems to deter customers, as one analyst remarked during the company's Q1 2023 earnings call. Right. So here it says the industry has tried to fix the current labor shortage by raising wages, but the shortage has doggedly persisted. With a recent National Restaurant Association survey showing that 6 to 10 restaurant operators say they're understaffed. The fact that the shortage persists shows that the pay increase quite the appetizing draw to restaurants. Again, Gen Zers do not want to do manual labor. They do not want to do manufacturing. That is not where they want to be. They do not want to be there. They do not want to be there. They like YouTube. They like Instagram. They like the online thing. They like the social media thing, but they do not want to be. They'll be a brand influencer for McDonald's, but they do not want to work at McDonald's. All right. I won't continue down that one. All right. So let's get back to here. All right. So we talked about the bricklaying robot. We looked at the construction. I didn't get into the other articles yet. I want to get into this first, and then I go work myself backwards. Let's look at what inside the Negro middle class used to look like. This is 1968. What did the Negro middle class look like? It's an hour long. I'm not going to spend an hour on this.
The following program is from NET, the National Educational Television Network.
I'd like to live in a tree-lined street. I'd like to have a summer home on the lake. I'd like to have a yacht and belong to a North Shore Yacht Club. I like to wear suits from Brooks Brothers. All Americans, and I am an American, we think this way. There's no other way to think. I can't think African. I can't think Irish. I can't think Norwegian. I have to think in the society in which I live, which is a white society. So their values are imposed on me, and I think this kind of way. I don't think of myself as being a Negro. Never until recently have I really been concerned that I am a Negro. I thought all the while that I was an American.
1968, right? He said, I wear Brooks Brothers. I like a house. I want to pull up with my boat. I got, what you mean? What you talking about? What you mean? I golf, right? 1968. Saw him driving the car. Natural hair, golf course. Different time, right?
Very interesting comment.
All right, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Because now we're going to step up and we're going to come to 1986.
You know that stuffy head? Clear it right up.
Let me back up.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. It's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. my father wasn't in the home, so it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
So let's start right there. So let's go back. We got male figures that they don't want them in the home, but now we got men that are leaving the workforce, and they're not even financially stable. So how can they hold down a family, right? And then we just talking about black people. You see the automation that's happening. You see the education system and where it's at. You see that we cannot read, we cannot write. You can't balance a checkbook. You don't write in cursive. You do not want to go to school. You don't want to get tech jobs. You got to read in tech. I'm sorry. You got to read and you got to do math. So what's the state? What's your plan? Ask your college students, or your college students on the way, or the ones that's on the way to college, the ones that are in high school, what is their plan? Parents, what are your plans? What are your plans to be stable? 40 years old, you're not retired yet. You don't have retirement money. You're not there yet. What's your plan? Do you have a 401k? Do you have a job that at least allow you to have a 401k? What are you doing? What do you see for yourself? Who's going to take care of you in retirement? Social Security is supposed to be drained by 2034. You can't rely on that. They're cutting the programs. They're actually trying to cut all the programs. What's your plan? Are you going to sit on the sidelines and let folks come in and take the jobs that you can qualify for? Or are you going to sit on the sideline? What you going to do? Your mama's passing away. She's older. She can't take care of you. You can't stay in your mama house. She been paying the bills. She passed on. She ain't leaving you nothing because she ain't had nothing to leave you because she been spending it on you already. So that money wasn't allowed to even stay in an account so it could grow. You're in and out of jail. You're on drugs. Zion Williams spending money on prostitutes, $200 million. Well, let me not call them prostitutes. Let me call them the lucky ones, the ladies of the night, since they like to refer to them. Like, come on now. What you gonna do? People mad because you wanna. I personally think you need a two household income. People mad at me because I say you need a 2 household income. Why? When I get up and go to work and I look at my coworkers that are Indian, that are white, that are Asian, guess what? The wife worked to get the wife there, the husband there. The wife is making 150, the husband making 200. The wife making 200, the husband making 150. They go to lunch together. And y'all want to say y'all want the soft life and you want to stay at home? All right, let me show you what soft life is. Let's run that back, D. This soft.
I ain't thinking about holding up for no sex, my man. You know, if a girl, she get having a baby, carrying a baby, hey, that's on her. I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condoms?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. They'll tell you to take them things off. They figure that you're saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling change in value.
I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
He said, what about you? He said, I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing because she wanna have a child. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm gonna do. Condom, what? This 1986. This 1986. All right. So he gonna keep going. You got the baby. You young. You in high school. What you gonna do? You need to. Can you read? Can you write? Guess what? You can't go get a job at McDonald's. It's automated. Guess what? You can't go get a job at Starbucks. It's automated. You can't go get a job at the distribution center. It's automated. It's over. What you gonna do? You don't want to work in tech because you said it's too hard. It's too hard for you to read. It's too hard for you to do the math. So what you gonna do? Every job, I don't know no job where you don't work with a computer or some type of computer or some type of digitization. What you gonna do? You're gonna sit on the sideline. You're gonna be the permanent underclass. You're gonna be waiting for housing. Most of the housing wait lists are 18 years, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. You waiting for housing. They're not building any more affordable housing like they should be. You know why? Because people are like, I can make more money on this luxury than I can affordable. So what we're gonna do is put you over here in Tent City and let you live under the bridge. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk to Sir Octavius Williams of Williamsburg, and we're gonna set a P.O. box up for you to go get your check. Because you can't go down to the Social Security office because it's gonna be automated. We don't need to see you for that. We can do remotely for that. That's gonna get automated too. $80 billion going into the IRS. Human Health Services, #1 place where they're automating. Let's get back to it.
What about birth control? What about condoms?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. They'll tell you to take them things off. They figure that you're saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling change in values. 25 years ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most Black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world.
Now you heard they growing up without their father, but you heard what he said. That's her baby. That ain't mine. That's hers. I ain't finna stop doing what I'm doing because she want to have that baby.
Turned upside down as children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the Black families today are headed only by a woman. Clorinda said she could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all Black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare. He's not unusual either. For LaDawn and Clorinda and Timothy, and many more like them in cities all over America, the traditional family no longer exists.
So, he don't want them. She's like, here we are, I got this baby. And in fact, and more in this story, her mother and her grandmother were both single mothers and had kids in high school. So then let's talk about the 90s. In the 90s, this is what we saw.
Come on, get it,
Right? I'm gonna mute it and then we're gonna just slide through it. So we got you had Kenny, you had different shows. You had your shows, you know who that is, right? Sliding on through. Keenan and Kel, right? Keep sliding on through. Your boys, the family, right? Sliding on through. Tia and Tamara, right? Martin, sliding on through. Living single, the Huxtables, Moesha, right? Sliding on through, right? You already see Fresh Prince, and the list goes on, right? Those are not the only shows. But what do you see now? And where are you going? Where are you going? Right? Let's talk about it. Because your future has already been determined for you. Your net worth has already been determined for you. Zero. That's where you're going. It's already been determined. It's already been predicted in 2053. The family black the African American family black worth will be zero. You are, as Evelyn say, a non-motherfucking factor. We do not count you into anything. We do not care about your accomplishments. We do not care about your degrees. We don't care about none of that because your net worth has told me that you do not exist. We will not invest in you. We will not help build your communities. We have given you every opportunity and you have done nothing with it. So you sit on the sidelines and you do what you've been doing. You've been not able to read. You've been not able to write. You've been not caring. So why care now? Not investing nothing into you. In fact, we're not even gonna put no stores in your neighborhood. We're not gonna even put a bus line in your neighborhood. We're gonna put you into one part of the city and you deal with it. We don't even the cops not even coming to your rescue. Now deal with that. So you want to stay there? Put a one in the chat if you want to stay there. Put a one in the chat if you want to stay there. Put a two in the chat if you don't. One if you want to stay there. Two if you don't. Let me know. D, I think they want to stay. We may be getting some ones coming through. Put a one in the chat if you want to stay. You want to stay there? After say you want to stay there. Put a two in the chat if you don't. One if you do, two if you don't. Reese said, hell no. Hell no, shawty. All right. So what can you do to get out of this? What can you do to get out of this? There are solutions. There are options. And let's go talk about them. The future of the jobs report. Right? Future of jobs report. Shop down here. Look at the contents. Make it bigger. Introduction to the global labor market. Remember now, we're not competing just with us, right? Our competition isn't white people. Our competition are Indians and Asians. They're the number one. They have surpassed white people. Right? So, with that being said, the global labor market landscape the drivers of the labor market transformation, the job outlooks, the skill outlooks, and the workforce strategies. So let's go and hop down here to the job outlooks. That's on page 28. Here it says, here's the drivers of the labor market transformation. We've already seen what's going on. But let's look at the job outlooks. Let's hop down here on page 28. Let me hop down here. Make sure my 28 lines up with their 28. Yeah, job outlooks. Here we go. All right, let me get it down so I can read it. You can't read it though. That's good there. All right, microtrends and technology are set to drive a mixed outlook for job creation and destruction in the next 5 years across job categories and industry. This chapter uses the concept of labor market churn to help quantify the expected change in the labor markets. In particular, the survey results help quantify structural labor market churn, which results from changes to the employment structure of the companies when new roles are created or existing roles are eliminated. According to this chapter analysis, estimates churn using anticipated structural changes reported by surveyed companies in composition of workforces between 2023 and 2027. I'm going to let you know most of your colleges are behind. They're good for foundational, but they're not good for future. They're good for maybe your first year, if that. If that. So labor market churn. Labor market churn refers to a pace of reallocation of workers and jobs. The survey provided insight into structural labor market churn, namely the number of expected new jobs plus the number of roles expected to be displaced during the period, divided by the size of the labor force in question. Remember, our labor force in question is smaller, it's shrinking. So automation has to compensate for that. Automation has to compensate for that. Hit the like button. That's right. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Share this out with somebody. Right? Structural churn does not include the natural churn of workers moving between jobs for personal reasons. 5-year structural churn is estimated for each job by summing the absolute magnitudes of its reported workforce. Fraction changes and blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. Let's go look at the projected job creation and displacement. In the next, and let me blow that up so you can see that. You can read that with me. In the next 5 years, 83 million jobs are projected to be lost, and 60 million jobs are projected to be created, constituting a structural labor market churn of 150 million jobs, 152 million jobs, or 23% of the 673 million employees in the data set being studied. This constitutes a reduction in employment of 14 million jobs, or 2%. Who's going to get hit the most? Black people. Why? Because you want to work fast food, you want to be frontline, and I'm telling you, the front line is not where you need to be. We can have some there, but it should not be 65% of us on the front line, because those are being automated. You need to own. And how do you go about owning? I gave you 2 ideas earlier. All right. It says the report identified employment lagging behind 2019 levels in accommodation, food and leisure, manufacturing, retail, wholesale of consumer goods, supply chain and transportation, and media and entertainment and sports. This report churn analysis suggests a higher than average churn from 2023 to 2027 in supply chain and transportation and media, entertainment, and sports industries, where Respondents estimate structural 5-year churn to be 29% to 32% respectively, but lower than the average churn in accommodation, food and leisure, manufacturing and retail and consumer and wholesale and of consumer goods. We have an aging population. Somebody has to take care of them. Somebody has to have a place for them to stay. Somebody has to run errands for them. You're going to see a big push into that as well, right? So let's go. Let's hop over here. Growing and declining jobs. The net growth of or decline of jobs can be estimated in a similar way in churn. Figure 3.3 displays how surveyed businesses expected jobs to grow or decline the fastest as a proportion of their existing labor force. AI and machine learning specialists top the list of the fastest growing, followed by sustainability specialists and business intelligence analysts. The majority of the fastest growing roles are the list are technology related roles. Majority of the fastest declining roles are clerical, secretarial roles, bank tellers, related clerks, postal service clerks, cashiers, ticket clerks, and it are expected to be decline the fastest. Many of the roles are forecast to be growing and declining the fastest relative to their current proportion in the labor market. All right, so let's go look at it here. All right, and let me blow it up so you can read it. And let me make this big screen. And can I get this down? Let me see. There we go. All right, here we go. I can blow it up a little more. All right, media and sports, government and public sector. Government is always going to have government funding. They're always going to have government investing. That's just what it is. You can always find solace there. Technology and digital communications. You always have tech. Real estate, we ain't making no more of it, but we will need more places for people to stay. Financial services, I see shrinking, supply chain and transportation. But we start getting down to here, automotive, aerospace, accommodation and leisure, energy and materials, that 5-year churn, right? That 5-year churn, right? So let's go back up here and look at what they're talking about. Right here, the emerging roles that have been highlighted in all 4 reports include data analysts, scientists, AI, machine learning specialists, and digital transformation specialists. While declining roles include data entry clerks, executive and administrative secretaries, and accounting and bookkeeping payrolls. 1 second, folks. I told her she was all in the video. She's like, it's too dark in here. You need a light on. That was my mom. It's crazy in Florida. Certain areas don't have tech places to work unless the telemarketing or working under someone. Yep. To approximate the total impact of job growth and decline, this report compares proportionate growth forecasts and estimates a total number of workers in these roles. And I'm gonna post these links I'm gonna post all these links later on in our community channel. You all can go read these things for yourselves. Let me do this. Let's look at this. All right, so here, the new jobs and the lost jobs from 2023 to 2027. The projected job creation in blue and the displacement is in purple. All right. As a fraction of the current employment for the global employee, data set studied the projected net growth and or the decline for the occupation in the next 5 years. And it says the diamonds are calculated by subtracting the 2 fractions. Okay, so let's go and look at the left side and we'll look at the right side. So we have growth here, because you see it to the right is the growth. To the right is the growth in blue. Going to the right. Robotic engineers does have some decline, but not as much. But let's look at where we got a lot of purple at. We got some in DevOps engineers. We got some in database engineers, process automation specialists. But we don't have a lot in software and application developers. Risk management. But let's hop down here where you start to get bigger here. Advertising and public relation professionals, heavy truck and bus drivers, sustainability and sustainability specialists, but not as much, right? Not as much. But renewable energy engineers, graphic designers, special education teachers, power production plant operators, building finishers and related trades, mechanical engineers, financial and investment advisors. Y'all in trouble. Let's get over here. It's where you really start to see the trouble. Remember, purple bad, blue good. Purple bad, blue good. Construction work, construction laborers, investment funds, organizational development specialists, chemical processing plant operators, training and development specialists, sales and marketing professionals, management and organization. Let's hop down here. Strategic advisors, right? Frame workers and laborers, data warehousing specialists, human resources specialists. Look at that. That blue is small. That blue is small. Sales and purchasing agents and brokers, primary school and early education teachers, compliance officers, accountants and auditors, telemarketers, relationship managers, software testers, credit and loan officers, security guards, door-to-door sales workers, statistical finance and insurance, bank tellers and related clerks, postal service, cashiers, data entry, administrative and executive secretaries, material recording and stock keeping clerks, accounting, bookkeeper and payroll, legislators, statistical finance and insurance. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. I'm glad you started your class. Finish it. Don't start. Finish it. Don't stop. Or I'm gonna have you up here on the thing in the purple. You're gonna be in the purple. I'm a literally go and create a PDF and say Sir Octavius of Williamsburg in the purple. I'm gonna put you in the purple. Don't be in the purple. All right. So where should you be at? You should be on this side of the map. You need to be over here. We got a little purple at DevOps. We got some time. I'm telling you, we got 5 years. We can make some money. 250, 300, 400, 500 a year. We got some time. Right? Largest job growth by the millions. It says top roles ordered by the largest net growth calculated based on the ILO occupation employment statistics and growth reported by organizations. Right? Agricultural equipment operators, farmland, heavy truck and bus drivers, vocational education. These are the ones they said they was going to waste. So let me go down here and check out the next one. Okay, largest job decline. This is the largest job growth. They have vocational education teachers up here, but let's go back up here and we look at, let me look and see what vocational is at on here. They don't have the largest, but there is some decline. They're not the largest though, but they on the list though. Let me go over here and look. I know I saw them because I called it out. I remember saying it. Lawyers. AI gonna be your new lawyer. Let's go read it. Heavy truck and bus drivers, business development professionals, university and higher education teachers, sheet and structural metal and modular and welders, special educational teachers, light truck and delivery drivers, digital transformation specialists, uh, construction laborers, sustainability specialists, and digital marketing. But let's look at largest job declines. And we blow it up again so you can see for yourself. Data entry, administrative executive, accounting and bookkeeping, security guards, building caretakers and housekeepers, cashiers and ticket clerks, assembly and factory workers, postal service, shop salespersons, client information and customer service workers, business services, administrative management, and door-to-door. Data entry. They're like, nah, that's going away. Now let's look at this one. This is from PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. And it's the future of work. In this, they talk about, and I'll probably have to pick this up next week, the red world, the blue world, the green world, and the yellow world. And I want to give you my best on this one so you can really understand what they're talking about. But to keep it simple, let me go back. It said, what does this mean for jobs? Working together as a society and their recommendations. And it says no regrets moves for organizations, right? The red world, the green world, and the yellow world. So let's go on page 10. And let me move this out the way. That's page 6. It's page 8. Let's see. We'll back down a little bit so I can see the pages. Here's 10. All right, here we go right here. The red world, the green world, and the yellow world. The yellow world is humans come first, social first, and community business prosper, crowdfunded capital flows towards ethical and blameless brands. There's a search for meaning and relevance with social heart. And then you got the red world, organizations and individual race to give consumers what they want. Innovation outpaces regulation. Digital platforms give outsized reach. And then we got the green world, companies care. And then we got the blue world, corporate is king, big company, capitalism, and so forth. And look how they divided this up. Fragmentation, collectivism, individualism, and integration, right? Here we go right here. I'm frozen. All right. The innovation rules the red world. And they break it down from 2020 all the way to 2030. Read these reports. I'm gonna read these reports. I'm gonna come back to this one for next week. I just want to give you the highlight overview. Don't let me forget to come back to this for next week. Right? They also talk about the skills. Here's the blue world. What is going to drive the blue world? Right? What does that look like? And they go down each one of these. We'll talk about this next week. Well, this is where I really want to get to. This came out in 2019. So we've had 4 years. So you can look to see where this came out in 2019. we're preparing for to 2030. We're really preparing to 2053 because we're going to be worth nothing in 2053. We already see how things are going for us right now. So you can be on the sidelines and be nothing. All right. So let's get into the McKinsey report, The Future of Work in Black America. We already have, like I said before, 7 million men have left the market. We are the front line of services. We do manual labor when we need to be owners of the manual labor people. We also need to have manual labor people as well. You need to figure out how you're going to get that going. How are you going to make money for you while you sleep? The Gen Zers do not want to do manufacturing jobs. We're going to have 2.1 million of those empty. We are living longer, which means that we need to have more resources for the elderly. And we also need to have more resources for the younger groups because they are not reading and they are not writing and they cannot do math. So they're not in the workforce, which means the people that are 35 to 54 are going to take up those jobs. We have enough empty jobs right now where everyone can work 2 jobs and still have 4 million jobs left. Where do you fit at in this? Can you read? Can you write? 54% of the US cannot read past the 6th grade. When it comes down to our population as far as Black, it's the 4th grade. You need to pick a side. You need to pick a struggle. Broke or not broke. Read or not read. You need to pick a side. You cannot be the victim and the hero, as D says. You're going to have to choose. You have options and you have decisions to make. If you do not have your GED, you can get it for free. If you want to go to vocational school right now, you can go for free. If you want to go learn AWS, you can learn it for free. If you want to learn cybersecurity, you can learn it for free. Just saying. And B, that's funny to me. And B, that's my mom's name, by the way. I started my master's in computer information systems, but I don't have tech skills yet. All the jobs require 5 years that I'm seeing. Do I still have to start at the help desk? No, you need to go get into an apprentice program. You need to go find an apprentice program. You need to go and find an apprentice program now and let them train you in the apprentice program. We appreciate you for your tech ties as well. You also need to be working with companies that are looking to hire people now. Most of those companies that are hire people right now, I'm telling you, are your SAICs. They are your Lockheed Martins. They are those places. And they're willing to sponsor your clearances. I know it sounds backwards, but they will. All right. I would not necessarily start at the help desk once I graduate. I would be doing help desk now. But I wouldn't be doing help desk like you think of help desk. I would be doing something. I would be doing help desk at like Microsoft or help desk at Google or help desk at SAIC or help desk at different companies like that. Like a company that's big enough where they have enough resources for you to grow into. So once you get your degree and you start doing work with the bigger companies, right? The bigger companies, you can flex in those companies. what you're going to find is it's a lot of red tape in those companies. So you'll move to a medium to a small company where you can flex your muscles a little bit, where you can learn business, where you can learn how to do business development, where you can learn how to write a report, where you can learn how to talk to a customer, where you can get in and talk to the CEOs. You need to flex, right? You need to be able to flex. So right now, working at a bigger company that has more resources works for you because they tend to have partnerships with company with colleges. They tend to have partnerships with, find out who your partnership with your masters. Find out who they partner with. See if they got an apprenticeship or something like that. A lot of stuff you can get for free. Here's the trick about free. You study in a vacuum by yourself, so you need to have somebody study with you. That's usually the problem. All right, let's go. The future of work in Black America, 2019. This is a 2019 report. I'm not going to read that part. All right, let's go here. Let's read this here. Let's blow this up here. That was big screen. Let's blow that up there. Boom, here we go. There is a well-documented, persistent, and growing racial wealth gap between African Americans and white Americans. 2019 is between Indians and Asians. Um, Studies indicate that the median white family in the United States holds more than 10 times the wealth of the median African American family. Apart from this, apart from its obvious negative impact on African American individual families and communities, the racial wealth gap constrains the entire U.S. economy. In a previous report, we projected that the closing wealth gap could net the U.S. economy of 1.1 trillion to 1.15 trillion in 2028. Despite this, the racial wealth gap threatens to grow as norms and standards and opportunities in the current U.S. workplace change and exacerbate existing income disparities. One critical disruptor would be the adoption of automation, and this is from 2019. The adoption of automation and other digital technologies by companies worldwide. You are in a worldwide fight. Your skills are worldwide. Yeah, help desk at higher tier companies. One, they pay more, and two, you get a chance to jump ship within the comp without leaving the company. So it doesn't look like you job hopping. One, and two, don't do it more than a year. Right? So, despite the racial gap threatens the norms, blah, 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 blah. Okay, one critical disruptor will be the adoption automation or blah, blah, blah. All right. According to estimates from McKinsey Global Institute, companies have already invested 20 billion and 30 billion in artificial intelligence and applications. End user, business, and economies are hoping to significantly increase their productivity and capacity for innovation through using such technologies. As determined in our previous report on the racial wealth gap, African Americans start from a deprived position in the workforce with an unemployment rate twice that of white workers, a pattern that persists even with controlling for education, during duration of unemployment, and the cause of unemployment. Our prior research also shows that African Americans could experience this disruptive, let me make sure I'm going back up, forces of automation from distinctly disadvantaged position, partially because they are often overrepresented in support roles that are most likely to be affected by automation, such as truck drivers, food service workers, and office clerks. This article builds on findings using a new and proprietary data set compiled by MGI to construct a 2030 scenario that projects the impact of automation in the national workplace in specific U.S. counties. You've been told about this since 2019, and you haven't made any decisions. You're still sitting on the sideline, and you're trying to make something that's dying work. it's not going to be resuscitated. Right? I'm going through this. I'm reading as I go through. African Americans and 13 community archetypes we analyzed may have a higher rate of job placement than workers in other segments of the U.S. population. They keep telling y'all, they keep warning y'all. Y'all keep being on the sideline. Right here. The challenges are daunting, but our research reveals opportunities for improvement within the African American workforce through strengthening local economies, shifting education profiles to align with growing sectors, engaging companies and public policymakers in developing reskilling programs, and redirecting resources to ease the transition of automation changes that changes the landscape for African American workers. In this article, we share our findings and note potential interventions, some of which have already begun. Right? The displacement rate is 36% for office, food services, and production work. Underrepresentation of African Americans in 5 occupation categories with the lowest expected displacement: educator and workforce, creative and arts management, health professionals, business and legal professionals, and property maintenance and agriculture. Now, we know some of this is not true now that things have, over those 4 years, those things have came out of this, right? But it's here. The poverty guidelines for a family of 4 is 25,000, and 10 of those occupations fall below the median of 52,000. Right now, our median is 70,000. Our median for most U.S. families is 70,000. The median for most U.S. Black families is 45,000. The median for the U.S. is 70. The median for most Black families is 45. You're not even meeting the median of the U.S. Right? African Americans' employment is concentrated in low-paying jobs: cashiers, food prep, service worker, retail, nursing assistants, personal care aide, customer service representatives, laborers, office clerks, janitors, and store clerks. Customer service representatives, 32%. And here it is. Who numbers that? Females number that at 78% as cashiers, 89% as nursing assistants, personal care aide 82%, office clerks 80%. Less than a college degree, 95%. You're dominating. It is known fact that if you have a college degree, you make more money over time than you do workers that do not have a college degree. That's a fact. African Americans are less concentrated in the highest growth geographies. You're not located in Seattle. You most definitely in Sarasota, Florida, Oregon, Richmond, South Bend, Chicago, Harrisburg, Detroit, Wichita, right? African Americans are less concentrated in the highest growth geographies. Where people are actually putting in stuff. Let's see if you get to Augusta. Let's see if you get to Augusta. Preparing for the future. I'll go over the rest of this because there is a lot in this one, as you can see. Let's hop down here. 10 growth hubs represent the largest opportunities for African Americans. 10 growth hubs. You got Seattle, somewhere here in Nevada. You got down here, you got Tampa, St. Pete. Orlando, Miami. This look like Atlanta. Let's go look and see what they say. Fulton County, Orlando, Broward, Wake County, Mecklenburg County, Charlotte, Los Angeles, Kings County, and Dallas County. And now this is from 2019. That this has changed. I'm just pointing out how much of it's changed. All right. We go through down here. Says capability based solutions involve a mix of reskilling and education. You need to get in high demand skills. I keep pushing Linux on you. I keep pushing cloud engineering, DevSecOps, security engineering. Need to figure that out. How you gonna get in it? By signing up to Women in Linux. That's how you gonna do that. And we also got down here education as well too. Right? Get the certs, get your degrees. Easy peasy, right? Can be. Utilize your network and get where you need to be. D giving me the look. D giving me the look. D giving me the look. D, it's a joke. It's okay, G. It's okay, D. It's okay. It's okay. I'm reloaded. Any questions, folks? Are you gonna be on the sidelines? Are you gonna let AI have you living in the bridge living under the bridge in a tent, pushing a cart, stealing coal, copper out of a house? Or are you gonna be employed or the employer? What are you gonna do? Are you going to be a truck driver forever? Can you be a truck driver forever? Washing in the cemetery with a backpack. Boot camp. So boot camp, we're gonna make an official announcement this week. We are looking to see what people want to do. We already have the tracks laid out. If you've been to our meetups, you know some details about it. The RHC, the RHCSA, the RHCE, and the learning subscription is included in this boot camp. I am really pushing for people to get in the boot camp to go all the way through to get your RHCA, that is your Red Hat certified architect, as well as your Security Plus and AWS or whatever cloud. It doesn't matter to me. What we're looking to do is to create accredited investors. I don't want you sitting there worried about, oh, I got in the field and I'm making 50. No, we're trying to get you at 150, 200. That's my goal. 200 is really my goal. For those that are already in, you know, I'm pushing 3, 4, 500K. You know, I have things I'm working on for that. If you do not want to be at that level and you say you don't need that kind of money, this is not the place for you. I'm just going to be honest. We're not sitting on the sidelines waiting for people to make decisions about their life. We're helping people who want to make decisions about their life and move forward and be at the be the employer, have the investments, own the plazas, own the lots for the trucks to park and people to sleep, own the cemeteries. We want people to own it all. Right? Then there's no reason why you can't. If you cannot read, start getting into programs where that can help you to read. If you cannot write, get into those programs. But there's no reason why you can't turn your life around unless you choose not to. And if that is your decision, do not be mad at others. Do not try to rob and steal from others because you chose another life. At least we got you covered. But do not sit on the sidelines and complain when the resources are out there. Yep, you should be able to hit connect on womenoflinux.org and it should drop you in. You can cut and paste that into Safari if you got a Mac, or incognito should work as well too. D, did we tell any lies today? Hope if your feelings were hurt, it is what it is. But something has to change. The men, I didn't tell no lie, D. You did give me a look. You did give me a look. You did. But something has to change. The men are not working, and they're not in the labor force, and they're also not staying in the labor force. So, who is it going to be on? Where are the houses and the income coming from? Do not continue to rent. Start buying. If you're going to rent, at least own, and then rent, and go from there. At least own a house and then go rent somewhere else. Nine months. Part-time. What's the easiest way to learn Linux? Come to Women in Linux every Wednesday. Those who have been there, they know. Stacy, we already had a conversation too. You ain't gonna be able to do this, Stacy. Stacy. I know you want to be a part of the group. You ain't gonna be able to do it and sends.org. I'm not gonna tell you no lies, Stacy. You ain't gonna be able to do it. It's gonna be too much. And I love you. I'm just trying to save you. You're gonna be studying SANS. The SANS classes go from 8 to 5 every day, 5 days a week. And you got to study after you get done with the classes. Stacy, don't do it to yourself. The game needs you. Thank you. I'll be getting with you to engineering cannabis. We got some other stuff that we're trying to create on the AI side. That's what we're going to talk about this week when we put everything up. It's not going to be $500. It ain't going to be $500. I can tell you that. It's not going to be $500. But also within the boot camp, we're also bringing in Red Hat trainers to teach. So I'm not going to be the only one teaching. Red Hat is actually coming in to teach as well too. I'm going to prep you, get you going, but yeah. DevSecOps is you need to understand the automation tool, whether it's Salt, Puppet, Chef, Ansible. You also need to understand what GitOps is. Understand CI/CD. You need to understand at least a cloud, whether it's AWS, GCP, VMware, whether it's AWS, GCP, or Azure. And then in some cases, you may need to understand on-prem. You also need to understand what Kubernetes is and what containers are and how to secure them. That is where the security of the infrastructure when we come to DevSecOps. And DevSecOps can exist on-prem, in the cloud. It could be hybrid. It could be a multi-cloud strategy. And it was and the job ranges are anywhere from 100,000 to 380, 400,000. People will I had beef this week because people online think that you can't make $500,000 in tech, that you got to be an executive if you make $500,000 in tech, or you got to be some type of entrepreneur in tech and you make 500,000. And you can go look up some jobs, and I've posted jobs that are paying 250, 300, 380, right? And people don't believe. And you can continue to sit on the sideline and not believe, or you can get in the game and do it. That's just it. That's just bottom line. Like, I get tired of us doubting that people can make these salaries, or they got to be special to make the only thing special about those people that make salaries like that is they studied and you didn't. Look here, try to sticking up. They studied and you didn't. That's really what it comes down to. Let me do this. All right, so let me do this real quick and then we'll get out of here. I'm gonna answer your question too. Right? So I just go on Indeed and I just look up DevSecOps 200,000. And this is just me on Indeed. You can go to levels FYI as well too. But here, 200 to 250, 200 to 350, hybrid remote, senior software DevOps infrastructure, DevOps engineer with NVIDIA, 164 to 253, 160 to 240, right? 253, 176 to 282. A manager, if you want to be a manager, right? I mean, the list goes on. 100 to 300. The ranges are broad. I don't make it up. The ranges are broad. 187 to 280, right? And you can come back here and do DevSecOps, and you can do 300 if you wanted to. 160 an hour. So what's 160 an hour? You're doing that work. Let's break out our calculator and let's talk about it. So 160 an hour. Oh, I got it in bit screen. I got to get out of bit screen. Let me bring it over. At 160 an hour. So 160 times 40. And let's multiply that by 4 weeks. That's 2560. So that's a month. So let's do 12 months of that. Comes out to 307. That's 1099. And you own the mailboxes, pulling in 20,000-30,000 a month. And you can run this under your business. So, so 30 times 12. Let's go 30 times 12. So you could be making about what, 360? So 12 times 30,000. Yeah, 360 plus the other number I gave, 307. So in a business per se, you could be at 667. That's how I look at it. But hey, who am I? Right? So you all have to figure out where y'all want to be at. Sidelines or in the game. That one little hair. It just want to stay up. And I don't know why. It says the question was, what about cybersecurity? What courses for those? Depends on cybersecurity. Right. That's real vague. My suggestion is you can go to CompTIA.org or you can go to SANS.org. And when you get here to SANS.org, you can look at training roadmaps. And if you look at the training roadmaps that they have on here, it kind of give you like, here's the core introduction to cybersecurity, and then each one is representative of a team: blue team, red team, green team, whatever the case may be. I fall under cloud security because it pays. When I say it pays, it pays. For example, and I've said this before, if you pass an exam at the on sans.org, if you pass the exam for like the DevSecOps joint, right, the 540, they if you teach the class, you get paid 12,000 a week. If you assist with the class, you can get paid, I think it's 5,000 or 7,500 a week. So say you did that 12,000 times 8. Say you did that for 8 classes. You could do it for more, but say you did it for 8 classes. 1099, you've made roughly $100,000. Of course, you got to keep reskilling and you got to keep skilling up. So you're going to automatically start taking more classes to maintain what you already have. Then this is when you start getting into writing books and co-authoring, writing classes. You could write a class and that class could earn you 500,000. That class could earn you 1 million. You could be on the sideline and just create content on creating classes, right? You could create the classes, or you could teach the classes, or you can help assist with teaching the classes. You can become a coach. You can become a DevSecOps coach. You can become an agile coach. You can come in and teach people about DevSecOps and how DevSecOps and AI interact, and be a consultant for that for others. So many different ways to skin a cat, where you're intermingling between DevSecOps, AI, automation, security. Like that's the RAM. That's the RAM that's going to be here for the next 10, 15 years. It just is what it is. Automation, DevSecOps, AI, machine learning, edge computing, high performance computing is going to be here. Just what it is. How much experience are they looking for the jobs you mentioned at 200K? It's some of them, again, 5 years now is senior. It used to be 10. Some are 20. It depends on those jobs, Stacy. Yeah, I saw the new laws coming out by AI governance. Meetup.com/women in Linux is how you can find us for the meetups. Now, D can put that on the screen for you. Can you do cloud security without a solid networking background? Yeah, I mean, once you get into cloud security, once you get into DevSecOps, you're gonna automatically learn networking. I mean, nobody's asking you to design a data center, so you have to design for subnets and so forth. They're not asking you to do that. They're basically, with cloud security, you're coming in, you're looking at the current infrastructure and seeing if they're using best practices. And if they're not using best practices, you're saying, okay, how can I ensure that this particular group use best practices and it's automated? So anytime they do a deployment, it meets our standard as a company, it meets our standard as security, it meets our compliance roles, and so forth. That's how that works. You go to womeninlinux.org and hit connect. Oh, D got it there. I think she might have took it down. I don't know, D. I don't know it changed. What else? Sure, I answer all your questions. You say your husband's you trying to help him figure it out. Tell him, send him to a coaching call, Stacy. Send him to a coaching call. Making sure I answer all your questions. Thank you for all your tech ties today as well, too. Right? Stacey, you can sign them up for a one-on-one. Oh yeah, I think D said you gotta do individual. We gotta do individual invites now, D. I don't know. I'll find out. That's D. Yep. Cloud, DevOps, and machine learning. Yeah. That's D. That's correct. That's D. All right. I beat you up enough today. If you don't want no money, let me know. Y'all want to be on the sideline with a backpack? Let me know. We're not gonna have. I'm assuming we're not gonna have the second show because we're supposed to start at 2:30. All right. Also, make sure you attend some conferences as well. There are a couple of free conferences out there. Go on Eventbrite. Look them up. We actually got it scheduled for the end of this month. No, the beginning of next month. No, the end of this month. But the teacher is supposed to come and teach in July, so we got to kick off pretty soon here. Let me see. Slack is closed. A member has to send a personal invite. That's what she said. That's what she said. The Slack is closed. And a member has to send a personal invite. Then it ain't closed. You trying to learn these things on a kid level? Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. What part of ML are you teaching? Is deep learning involved? Also natural language processing, such as chat. Well, so I'm glad you brought up natural language processing. So let me bring this up. So natural language processing, right? University of Washington has one. They've been around forever. I always refer to them. All right. Here we go. They have a PhD. They also have a master's program as well, computational linguistics. I didn't know what it was until I had to manage the clusters. Here's Emily Bender. You can also find our interview we did with Emily Bender when we were doing podcasts, working with emerging technologies and discovering careers. So let's look at that so you get an idea. Um, as the role of computers and technology grows even larger in daily lives, blah, 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 computational linguistics, it's an academic discipline that directly addresses the need of combining elements of linguistics, software engineering, artificial intelligence, and electrical engineering. Professionals trained in this field help machines process human language and help linguists understand language through computer models. Computation linguists apply their skills in the development of applications related to translation, voice recognition, automated text analysis, search engines, and other pioneering technologies. So that text that when you're texting and it's predicting what you're gonna say next, this is what that is. Compensation, they're saying on pay scale, which I do not like using, it's from 81 to 106, but I can tell you most of those people are probably averaging 300. Our graduates have attained employment at Facebook, Google, Allen Institute for AI, H5, Bosch, Samsung, VoiceBox Technologies, Apple, and many others. Job roles and titles are artificial intelligence engineer, computational linguist, data scientist, language engineer, linguist, machine learning engineer, NLP engineer, scientist, and research scientist, right? And here's job postings that they have that you can go browse. So, with that being said, what I would do is I would cut and paste this and I would go back to Indeed. And this is a master's program and type it in. All right. So it came back with a cloud engineer. I don't know if it's officially called an artificial intelligence engineer. It may be called something else, but that's what I got on the list. So I'm just going off of that. So we got the blockchain that came up. We got senior cloud engineer, staff engineer. Let me look and see if I can find this as a job somewhere else. See, okay, here we go. Delta, 100 plus more jobs. Delta, Cardinal Financial, 0 Day Staffing, Insight Global, Hard Boot, AI engineer, remote full, machine learning engineer, cyber AI engineer at Lados. Compensation can range anywhere from 118 to 245. And I can blow that up for you so you can see that right there. 118 to 245. Right. Other conferences that are coming up, Google's conference is coming up, AWS. I'm not sure when Azure's is Azure's having theirs. There are still like one-offs like GitLab, all those. Go on Eventbrite, look them up. Product vendor, most of them are product and vendor, right? So if you know DevSecOps or you know people, like if you look up DevSecOps and then you see a company name come up, right? 9 times out of 10, they'll probably have like a conference, like a 1 day event or something like that, like Ansible Fest. Like Ansible is a product. Um, Actual Red Hat bought it, so they had Ansible Fest within the conference. It usually was separate by itself. So, but Puppet is another one, but Puppet just got bought. So, but it's still probably a Puppet conference. Salt is a conference. GitLab has a conference. GitHub has a conference. When you start looking at security tools, Palo Alto probably has a conference. When you networking tools, security tools, SysDig, Nagios has a conference. Those are conferences that you can go to probably remotely or in person, right? Look up DevOps Days is another one, and they're in every city. So they'll have a DevOps Days in every city, right? NLP jobs, just look up prompt engineers. Yep, 200 to 300. Yeah, QCon is another one. Linux conference is another one. Usnix is another place. So if you go to usnix.org and then you look at conferences, they have a slew of conferences that span the globe and actual information. Let me keep blowing it up. Oh, the cookies going to deny. All right, so here we got SRE Conf for site reliability engineers. You have Usenix. You got grepsec. You also have they also do the high performance computing as well too. Let's go back. You can look at the past conferences that they've had as well too. You can also become a member here. And then you can also look at see Usenix, GitHub Burst. Dion just talking about not version but burst. Let's see, GitHub Burst conference. GitHub Universe, November the 8th through the 9th. That's coming up. Also look at job boards like LinkedIn or GDIT has a job fair. Look at the job fairs and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm speaking in at Black is Tech conference here in August 7th through the 11th. Right there. I'm on the thingy. Here is, and it's going to be here in Atlanta. Atlanta. It's going to be in Atlanta. So I'll be in person. There's also Blacks in Technology conference in tech, Blacks in Technology conference, Tennessee. BitCon is coming up September the 5th through the 7th. This is Michael Jenkins. Everybody should know who Anthony May is. If you have not seen him, follow them on LinkedIn. And Michael Jenkins makes the Jenkins courses, and then Anthony does the AI and blockchain. This is Greg Lee. He is the Greenlee. He is the founder. So this at the JW Marriott in near Gulch in Nashville. That's coming up. I'm not speaking. I could, but I don't know. They hadn't asked me to speak. If I speak, we gotta get a room. I gotta have my own room. So yeah, the CFP closed June the 2nd. Yeah, I always hang out when I go to the conferences. Yeah, Google input output, that was a good one. Yep. Not that. AWS reInvent coming up. It's usually a 200,000 folks at this. It's in November, usually in Vegas, across all the hotels on the strip. Let me see. if they got the thingy. I'm trying to see if they got the map. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for the map. I don't see it though. But you can go to the conference and learn. You can take breakout training and certifications right here. You can go to the conferences, just learn. All right. Are giving you everything you need to equip you so that you are not sitting on the sidelines being automated out of your job, automated out of life, and automated out of being able to compete. And I hope you all have a good day. Join us every week. Women in Linux, meetup.com. Join us here. I did not do a foolish finance Friday. I'll do one next week on Mary J. Blige. I'm gonna rip her apart. I am. I am. But not in a bad way. Just things that she could have done to prevent that. Because she didn't sign a prenup. She didn't have him sign a prenup. So that's why she out here. Dun, 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 dun. How can I love somebody else? And then they got her out here with the swords and stuff. She been dancing all her life, and she's still dancing. Don't do the Mary J. I'm gonna rip her apart, but I'm gonna have Mr. Robles help us. I know I'm tired of looking at her. She got a festival now. She got shade. She got boots. She got perfume. She got wine. What else she gonna have? She gonna have hair. She got sunglasses, body lotion. What else she gonna have? Mary did a My Life, she gonna have to do another My Life, My Tour. It ain't looking good. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe. How can I love somebody else?